Don't miss the awesome Naruto stories my sister creates. Her last channel was hacked, so to stay in the loop, please subscribe to her new channel. It would mean a lot to her, and you won't regret it. Hello to all lovers of lemon scenes. I invite you all to my boosty so you can watch your favorite Naruto What If stories in complete comfort. A subscription to Naruto Lemon, the first video with a full lemon, is already on my boosty channel. Dare! Leaf Country, Saturday, day. Having passed through the dark tunnel of the portal, Ichigo became blind from the rays of the sun hitting his face. The light prevented him from seeing what was happening around him. For a split second. But it was important, because Ichigo emerged from a portal in a tree trunk, which was located about 5 meters above the ground. In a split second, after the blindness passed, he only had time to think, where am I, and then, EXO. Why is it above again, Earth? The rest of the team was already standing below. Matsumoto was fiddling with Toshiro, Ikaku was arguing with Yumachika, Kira was talking with Kenpachi. Landing face down on the ground, Ichigo only heard the malicious, Kurosaki, stop making faces. Toshiro, without a shadow of a grin, walked past the body. Toshiro, by the way, I'm no longer a temporary Shinigami, but a captain. Ichigo yelled, rubbing his forehead. But that doesn't mean that for you I'm not Captain Hitsugaya. Stop chatting, where are we anyway? Asked Kenpachi, noisily sucking in the air. The whole team looked around. They were in a small clearing in the middle of a dense forest. Huge tree crowns barely hid the sunlight, but it made its way. The green leaves shimmered with a variety of colors. So, where are Chad and Inoue? Ichigo was surprised. There, Ikaku pointed upward. With such a cry Orihime flew out of the portal, and behind her Chad. Ichigo picked up Orihime in flight, for which he received gratitude. Chad landed safely. Have you been waiting for a long time? Chad asked. No, not especially, Matsumoto began, but come on, be quiet. Toshiro hissed. I feel Ryatsu here. They're 5 people. For the first few seconds, everyone was tensely waiting for something to appear. And then they heard voices, Sakura-chan, well Sakura-chan. Let's go on a date. Naruto, you got it. Then there was a rumble of bodies and 4 people came out into the clearing. Among them was a young girl with unusually pink hair, a guy with a white face that did not produce any emotions. Following were 2 young men, one was wearing a mask and a bandage covered his left eye, and the other was wearing some kind of helmet, sticking out his brown hair in different directions. Again Naruto for his own, he only said, but stop, who are you? Hatake Kakashi shouted sharply, taking out a kunai from his sleeve. Sakura and Yamato also grabbed kunais. Sai, however, took out his knife. Who are you? Locals, he shouted. Ichigo's answer. We asked first. Sakura shouted. Listen, Ichigo began, but then he was interrupted by a guy who approached the girl. Hey, Rizek, he said, rubbing his jaw, apparently bruised, are you going to a funeral, by any chance? Naruto pointed his finger at the old black kimono of the Shinigami Ichigo. He lowered his eyes, EXO. You're already a captain, but you still can't remember the new kimono. Then he looked up at the guy, he had bright blonde hair. He was dressed in a black jumper and, as Ichigo was able to notice, they all had the same bandages, the girl on her head, one on the eye, the rest on the forehead. This guy needs to be taught a lesson, I'll show you Rizek. It would be better to keep quiet, Blondie. Go where you are going, don't bother smart people talking. What? I'm a blonde? Naruto yelled. He then rushed towards Ichigo, drawing a kunai as he ran and prepared to strike. Ichigo simply shouted, "Zangetsu." His sword freed itself from its own grip, and the owner was already preparing to strike, when Shuanpa sound. Kenpachi appeared in front of Naruto and Ichigo, and stopped both blows, then he intercepted the end of Zangetsu's blade and Naruto's kunai. Blood flowed from the hand holding Zangetsu. "You kid, you need to work on your punch. And you Ichigo cut my hand, I'll bite your ear off for that," Kenpachi said with a grin, looking at Ichigo. He just snorted with anger. Naruto just blushed, "Who are you?" "Such." Ichigo removed Zangetsu, "Calm down, we are not your enemies. We are from the Soul Society. We are just exploring another world. We are Shinigami." Naruto tried to put on a smart face, Shinigami. "Naruto, stop make faces. You still don't understand anything. For you, once is always not enough," Sakura said, putting away the kunai. "Where are you from, excuse me?" "Soul Society. We are responsible for delivering souls there. In short, a parallel world. This girl has no sense of beauty." "What did you say, feathered one?" The color of the girl's face began to change, a wrinkle of anger appeared on her forehead, and her hand clenched into a fist. Sakura ran up and was about to strike a blow that could have been fatal for Yumachika, but then Ikaku stopped the blow with the scabbard of his sword. His legs but a few centimeters entered the ground. "This is strength," he thought, lowering the sword. "Ninpo, a wooden prison," said Yamato, and Ikaku was closed on all sides by wooden walls and bars. "Better not resist." "What kind of Pinocchio is this?" Matsumoto asked, taking out her Zanpakuto, growl, "Hey Nico." The blade of her sword turned into powder, which ground off the walls of the grate, creating a passage. "Thank you, Matsumoto, otherwise I remembered my youth." "Come on, that's enough." Toshiro began to lose his temper. "Listen, we didn't come to fight. We are exploring a parallel world. Maybe tell us about the place where we ended up." "Okay, you are in the land of fire," Kakashi began. Noticing the interest in the faces of the Shinigami, he continued, "It used to be called the land of fire, but constant revolutions forced our hidden leaf village to take extreme measures. Now our village has become the capital of the country. It's been a year since our Hokage, Tsunade-sama, has been safely in charge. We are ninjas." "I see, then let's declare a truce," said Toshiro. At the same time, he looked at Ichigo. He looked away, "And let's meet your Hokage." "I agree, allow me to introduce myself, Hatake Kakashi. I am the jounin of these guys," he pointed to Sai and Sakura. "And this is Captain Yamato, my, so to speak, deputy. This blonde," points to Naruto, for which he receives reproachful, "Kakashi-sensei. Probably wants to apologize to you," pointing to Ichigo. "Nice to meet you, but let's hurry up. I hope we'll be there by the evening." Naruto approached Ichigo. Both were still red. "I won't apologize to this redhead," Naruto said, when he collided with the gaze of Yamato. "Naruto. Wow, okay. He looked at Ichigo for a few seconds. "Okay, Uzumaki Naruto is the ninja of the hidden village of Leaf. Team 7. By the way, I am the best ninja." "Naruto, stop talking nonsense," even in front of strangers. Sakura flew up and punched Naruto in the stomach. "Excuse him, he doesn't know his limits at all. I'm Haruno Sakura, also from Team 7. Medical Ninja." "Kurosaki Ichigo," Ichigo said and extended his hand to Naruto, Shinigami, and the captain of this squad. "Kurosaki, stop making faces," Toshiro yelled. "Forgot about the others or what?" Okay, one of the captains of this squad, but I'm responsible for him." "Shall we introduce ourselves, Uzumaki Naruto?" asked Ichigo. Naruto, having recovered from the blow, first looked at everyone. Then he said something like, "Okay, so be it," and shook his hand. "And I am Sai," said Sai. But when Ichigo extended his hand, he walked around it. "Let's get to know each other, Shinigami." Sai made his smile without emotions. Even try to make a friend out of a stranger, he thought before that. Ichigo slowly turned his head with an angry grimace. Seeing Sai's grin, he was horrified. What's wrong with this guy? "You'll strangle me. What's your name, Sai?" Sai immediately let him go. Already out of breath, Ichigo fell to the ground. Sai extended his hand to him. "Get up. Come on, get away from me, I can get up on my own." Ichigo backed away from him. Sai followed him with an outstretched hand. "I'm offering you help. Don't come closer." Ichigo backed away from him. "Sai is enough. The Shinigami will be able to get up on his own." Kakashi laughed, followed by everyone. "Well, let's go." Land of the Leaf. Saturday. The column of ninjas and Shinigami walked along a forest path to the hidden village of Leaf. Basically, everyone was noisily discussing information, sharing their impressions of their first acquaintance, and so on. Sai and Toshiro walked a little behind them. Orihime and Sakura were silent, and Naruto and Ichigo brought up the rear. "Sakura-san, can I ask you?" Inoue suddenly asked. "Yes, Orihime, are you interested in something? Tell me." "Here's Naruto-kun, I noticed that he couldn't take his eyes off you. Are you two dating?" "No. It's a long story. We've been in Team 7 for a long time. And we've known each other for a long time. We're friends." "Ah, I see," thought Inoue. "You can't understand these guys at all." Sakura moved away from the topic and started a conversation with Inoue. Next came Naruto and Ichigo. Ichigo kept looking at Naruto's drool, which he was slowly drooling, looking at Inoue. "Naruto, maybe that's enough." Ichigo. "Huh? Listen, this Inoue is nothing." "Naruto-kun, don't say that." "Why is this? You and I are both guys, and I can't ask about a girl?" "Ah, I get it. She's probably yours." He clenched his hand into a fist and raised his little finger. "Naruto. Please shut up." Ichigo yelled and punched Naruto in the face. Naruto staggered. The whole column stopped. Everyone was wondering what had happened. Naruto wiped a trickle of blood from his lip and said with a grin, "East." Ichigo burst out. "Can we check it out?" "Come on. Let's check the attacks." Naruto agreed. "Okay. What is your most powerful jutsu?" "Tested on this tree," points to a tall pine tree. "No question. Shadow cloning technique." Naruto began, crossing his fingers. 2 clones appeared. A few minutes later in his hand the ball was burning, around which sparkling blades were spinning. Shuriken Rasengan. Naruto yelled and was about to rush towards the tree, when he was smoothly stopped by Sakura, and his shuriken disappeared. "What are you thinking, Baga? You've gone completely crazy. Kakuzu has already forgotten and forgot his hand. Use another Rasengan." Sakura yelled. Then she turned to Inoue. "Guys, what can we take from them?" Orihime just giggled. "Come on, Kurosaki-kun." "Well, Naruto," Ichigo said sarcastically, "an optical illusion or something?" "Wait a minute. Shadow cloning technique." A few seconds later, 2 shadow clones were holding the same ball in their hands, but without blades. Rasengan. Naruto yelled and the clones, whooping and hooting, rushed to the tree. The ball collapsed not only the trunk of the tree, but also cut down several pine trees behind it. "Hee, well, Rizek," Naruto grinned, looking at Ichigo's slack jaw. "Weak? How weak?" Zangetsu, Ichigo shouted and took the sword in his hands. What kind of cleaver is this? Do you cut vegetables with it? Naruto grinned. Yeah, like these, Ichigo showed Naruto. He just made a grimace and put his hands behind his head, expecting Ichigo's attack. Well, look, Ichigo sighed. Getsuga Tensho. Haha. And this is an attack? Yes, I'm talking, weakling. Well, shut up. This is only a third of my strength. Well, if that's the case. Ichigo yelled, pointing the blade towards the trees. His left hand lay on his right, the winding of the handle followed, Bankai. A powerful ray of light enveloped him. A couple of seconds later, Ichigo stood in front of them in his Bankai kimono and, holding another sword behind his back, said, looking at Naruto with a grin, Tensa Zangetsu. Wow, yes. He's still changing. Naruto admired. Are you still cleaning fish with it? Ichigo grimaced, shut up and look. Getsuga Tensho. A ray of light, but already black and red, cut the following trees one after another. Behind the last one was Kakashi, reading a book. Guys, you have a drawl by the way, you are in the forest of the first Hokage. Although, it was actually built by Yamato. The owner of the name blushed, Kakashi-senpai, that's enough already. Are we finished? Then let's go. Well, we'll see, Naruto said and turned away. Ichigo took him by the shoulder and whispered in his ear, I still have an ace up my sleeve. And soon you will see it. Do you think I don't? Let's see again. And the entire column, as if no one had destroyed about 1/8 of the entire forest, went further, to the capital of the land of Leaf. Unnoticed, well, just tiptoeing, the sunset was approaching, and our company kept walking. Naruto still couldn't calm down and tried to strike Ichigo's body with a run, but he stopped him every time holding his head. Fortunately his arms were longer. Kakashi was talking with Ikaku, Kenpachi closed his eyes, sucked in air and, almost crashed to the index. Well, here's the index. We'll be in Konoha in an hour. Kakashi said joyfully. The whole company turned towards the sun, which was already approaching a large rock. Listen, Rizek, Naruto began. Ichigo grimaced, what do you want? Listen, tell me about yourself. Where are you even from? Oh, it's a long story, I'm from another parallel world. At first I was just like you, carefree, but I was different from others. What? Spirits? Naruto's eyes widened with fear, his legs gave way and he jumped to the tree trunk next to him. Hugging him, he did not notice the twitching of Ichigo's eyebrows and eyes. What's the matter with this guy anyway? He thought. Naruto, are you afraid of spirits? Ichigo began to laugh. Well, shut up, Naruto answered with a frown. It's not your problem. Of course, because we, spirits too. What? For example, today Zaraki stopped your kunai and my zangetsu. By the way, my kunai also has a name, Naruto interrupted him, abruptly standing up on two legs and showing Ichigo his fist. Well, what kind? Well, I wrote it down somewhere, Naruto began, but when he met Ichigo's serious expression, he stopped. Well, what else? A crow flies over them, yelling, idiot, idiot. Okay, let's go. Otherwise we're already behind. Ichigo turned to the leaving crowd. I bet I can reach them faster. Naruto grinned. You can't deny me running, he thought. Ichigo, preparing to take a step, and not expecting such a turn, flew forward with his leg thrown up. How did you get it? I've known you for 1 day, but I've talked enough for a week. Can't think of anything else? Ichigo stood up and began to brush himself off. Haha, I knew you'd be a coward. Weakling. Naruto began to dance around Ichigo, showing his raised arm and squeezing his muscles as if they weren't there. Ichigo's eyebrow and I began to twitch with anger towards this kid. "Well, shut up!" Ichigo yelled. "Forward!" But Narek had already run a couple of meters away from him. "Hey, redhead. See you around, everyone." "Oh, you." Ichigo began, "Shuunpa." A second and he found himself next to Naruto. "What? How are you?" "Aae." Naruto stumbled and flew forward. Another second and Ichigo was near the company. He turned to Naruto, who was still walking towards them, made a malicious grin and showed his face. He pulled back his eye and stuck out his tongue. "I'll destroy it," thought Naruto. So, slowly, the whole company reached the huge stone gate. "Kakashi, you're late again." "Sorry, guy, a little trouble on the way." Ichigo looked behind Kakashi and almost shuddered. What kind of faggot is this? A man with a bowl haircut, in a green, tight suit and with something orange on his legs approached Kakashi. Moreover, Ichigo noticed a vest similar to Kakashi's, probably also a jounin. "Kurosaki." "Hey!" "Kurosaki." Ichigo paid attention to the screams from behind the gate. A bespectacled man with a backpack on his back and his officer Kira were running towards him. "Hey, Ishida! How did you end up here?" Ichigo was surprised. "It looks like we flew out of another portal. There are several of them in this country. Glad to see you." "Captain Kurosaki," Kira bowed. "Well, don't do that," Kurosaki began, when his attention was attracted by the conversation between Kakashi and Guy. "Ha! Did you find these so-called Shinigami too?" "Yes, and, moreover, more than you." "Ah, you and I are equal again, let's argue." Guy roared. "Come on, what's this time?" Kakashi asked without a trace of enthusiasm. "We'll fight with our thumbs." "Let's fight." Guy grabbed Kakashi's hand and he started fighting with his thumbs. Everyone around them has huge drops. "Now. You'll lose." "Ha, Konoha-senpu," Guy rejoiced, but then. "Kawarimi." Kakashi's finger was at the wrong angle for a moment and pressed Guy's finger. "No, you won again, but nothing, I'll walk 400 laps on my hands around the entire capital." Guy pointed at himself with his thumb, shine of teeth and drops on everyone again. "Look. Guy, Konoha isn't what it used to be. You'll be walking for a long time." "Nothing," the guy answered, but drew attention to Matsumoto. A short pause. "Oh, beautiful lady, let me accompany you to." The red guy ran up, well, as if he had opened the gate. Honestly, author's note, Matsumoto sent a blow into the sky. A star lit up in the sky. "Well, to the Hokage?" asked Kakashi. "Yes," everyone answered in unison. "Kakashi-senpai, I'll go, anyway. Mission complete." "Ah, okay Yamato. See you tomorrow morning." "Kakashi-sensei, Sai and Sakura and I will go to Granny later," Naruto began, but Sakura hit him in the stomach. "Naruto. Tsunade is my teacher. And don't you dare call her grandma." "What should we call it then?" Naruto squeezed out. All of Konoha was seething with life even in the evening. People walked back and forth, shops invited their customers, and small children rushed through the streets. Ichigo paid attention to a huge rock, towards which they were walking. There he saw 5 faces carved into the rock. "Kakashi-san," Ichigo turned to Kakashi. "Yes, I'm listening." "And what are these faces on the rock?" Ichigo pointed to the rock. "Oh, this. These are portraits of the 4 Hokages who were formerly in charge of the Hidden Leaf Village." "Oh, Naruto told me a little about the history of the village on the way," Ichigo agreed, although most of the time he told me about some kind of ramen. Kakashi laughed, Naruto in his own spirit. "I don't know anything else." Expected. Half an hour later, the whole company approached a huge red building, a sign at the gate of which read, Hokage Residence, and just below it was written in paint, "Don't just enter." Climbing the stairs, Ichigo kept turning his head back and forth, looking at the large rooms. Kurosaki. It's good to turn your head. You make me dizzy, Toshiro barked at Ichigo. Spirals instead of eyes. After a while the group approached a small door. Kakashi knocked. Has she really changed her age again? Kakashi muttered and opened the door. The whole company began to enter the large hall. Kenpachi managed to hit his forehead on the door frame. Ah! Entering with everyone, Ichigo saw a young woman with long blonde braids sitting at the table. Next to her stood a girl with dark hair. She was holding an appetizing-looking pig. Ichigo remembered that he had not had lunch, but immediately drove away thoughts about food, and with a strange expression on her face she looked at one point. The woman stood up sharply, her eyes widened, and she pointed her finger to another. Corner audience, what the hell is this? The young ones have succeeded. Ichigo craned his head and was surprised to find that the woman was pointing her finger at Inoue and Matsumoto standing nearby. The girl with the pig also shuddered. Lord! Someone has bigger breasts than Tsunade? Shizun's eyes widened in horror. But there was no outburst of anger. The surprised Tsunade simply sat down noisily on the chair. Excuse us, Hokage-sama, Ichigo began. Perhaps we should have introduced ourselves first. Wait with the introductions, Captain Kurosaki, Tsunade said. I already know everything. In response to the surprised faces of the Shinigami, she replied, even the Hokage has ears. That's right, Tsunade herself. Another man in an animal mask emerged upside down from a large window. Free! Tsunade shouted at him and he disappeared. Please forgive me. Tsunade raised her eyes to the Shinigami. Kakashi stood next to the Hokage. As you have already been informed, I am the Hokage of the Leaf Country. Call me Tsunade, the Hokage began. I already know everything about you, more precisely about your meeting with Team Number 7. Come on, you rest today, and tomorrow we will discuss the events that happened. Sorry, Hokage-sama, Ichigo interrupted her. Still, let me say something. I allow it. Since we were sent on a research mission, and we ended up in your country, let me help you for the duration of our stay. In any case, until the Soul Society establishes diplomatic relations with the Leaf Country. Well said, Kurosaki, supported Ichigo Toshiro. Half an hour later, everyone left the Hokage residence. Hey, Rizik. What Naruto? Let's go for a walk. Okay, Ichigo turned to the others. Naruto will help me find a hotel. I'm appointing Toshiro as senior. When will you remember that I am Captain Hitsugai, you idiot? Toshiro yelled at him. Hey, be quiet. That's it, meet me at the hotel. Okay, Kurosaki. Ichiwai Naruto. Are you something? Wanted? Ichigo walked up to Naruto. He narrowed his eyes. Gotei 13. Gotei, what? 13. Okay, let's go, I'll show you some ramen. Naruto led Ichigo through the streets. Ichiraku Ramen. Ichigo read the building's sparkling sign. Naruto pulled back the curtain and walked inside. Old man, hello. Me and my friend each have a big pork ramen. Oh, hello Naruto-kun, do you have anything to pay, or will you help with the washing again? Hey, I am Chan, of course there is. Free lunch voucher. Ichigo looked around and also entered the cafe, pulling back the curtain. Oh, as I understand it, you are one of those Ryoka, Wanderer, author's note. You're like a Shinigami, right? Ichigo grinned. Naruto, I see that not only your Hokage has ears. What's true is true. Immediately, 2 servings of pork ramen were placed on the counter in front of Naruto and Ichigo. Ichigo was so worried about hunger that he didn't think twice about it. More supplements. Naruto looked at Ichigo. After a mission, I always come to eat ramen. The best source of energy. Yes, delicious. Thanks Naruto. Naruto, without being distracted from the second portion of ramen, simply nodded. Ichigo asked for water, when a very well-fed, I'm not saying fat, author's note, young man entered the cafe. His hair was flying all over sides, and the cheeks evoked in Ichigo a strong association with a hamster. Oh, Naruto. Are you back yet? Choji asked Naruto. Choji, hello. Naruto patted him on the back. The sight of Ichigo, who still barely understood what was happening and sat with his jaw slightly slack, interested him. Naruto, I take it this is one of the Ryoka that just arrived in the capital? Yes, introduce yourself. This is Ichigo, and this is Choji, we studied at the academy together. Ichigo shook Choji's hand. Nice to meet you, Rizik. Same to you, Fat. Ichigo had just begun, when the hand grabbed him by the mouth. Naruto instantly dragged him around the corner. Ichigo, remember, Naruto whispered in Ichigo's ear, on this word, in the presence of Chuji there is a taboo, it's better not to say. Noticing both surprise and anger on Ichigo's face, Naruto dragged him back into the cafe. Nice to meet you, Choji. Ichigo shook the shinobi's hand. Naruto sighed with relief. Okay, Chuji. We gotta go. Yeah, hello to Sakura and Sai. Ichigo and Naruto were walking down the street. Well, what else have you prepared? Now let's go to the hot springs. Noticing the surprise on Ichigo's face, Naruto continued, this is for you for a lost argument. After all, they just argued. Oh, that's right. Well, that's not a bad pay, I'll tell you. Ichigo raised his head to the sky. Now I'll take a bath in a hot bath. And also, because you stink, said Naruto. What? Who else stinks? Ichigo showed his fist to Naruto. You stink. When was the last time you showered and washed your uniform? Well, this doesn't concern you, Ichigo thought for a moment, but noticed Naruto walking away. Hey, where are you going? Naruto walked away from him with a strange gait. He pinched his nose, raised his head to the sky and loudly repeated. Foo 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 foo. Got that stinking Shinigami. Ichigo followed him. Suddenly Naruto stopped abruptly and began to look around. What's wrong with you? Shoo. Ichigo heard a voice bawling. And just when I was about to catch him, he dodged the blow and attacked with 10 shinobi. Ichigo raised his head with interest, looking at the old man, who laughed in the presence of girls who were almost hanging on his neck. Oh, Jira-kun. You are so brave. And also, the girl began. Ichigo drew attention to the old man himself, long gray hair, an idiotic expression on his face, and, apparently, drunkenness. Hey, pervert. What bald guy are you forgetting here? Someone left me a note yesterday saying that I was going to the border to guard country. Ah, it looks like my favorite student. The old man blew a kiss to the girls, saying, I paid, and jumped over the stairs. Landing near Naruto, he patted him on the head. Long time no see, Naruto. You pervert, I'll lie to you for this. Quit my training and go around with women again. Naruto roared. Calm down. Well, what can you do? I'm looking for muses for my new book. Jiraiya smiled. Yes? What about my training? Okay. Hooray. Listen, pervert. Yes? Come with us to the hot springs. Okay, let's go. On the way, Jiraiya met Ichigo. I won't say that after Naruto's words about his teacher, Ichigo felt comfortable, but what a teacher, Ichigo thought, remembering how Naruto drooled on Orihime. Shuddered. Jiraiya-san, I heard that you are a writer? Yes, Ichigo, you are absolutely right. And what genre do you write in? Well, Jiraiya began, when Naruto interrupted him. He writes vulgar books. He's a disgusting pervert. Naruto. How many times do I have to tell you that this is melodrama? Yes, rather melodrama. Ichigo realized that he would not achieve any sense, and the trio went forward. After 10 minutes, everyone undressed and entered the hot springs. Even now, the long road to the capital seemed like a dream to Ichigo. Strange, but for some reason everything is quiet, Ichigo thought and opened one eye. Jiraiya quietly crept across the pool with a morbid grin. Naruto, with an even more morbid grin, crept on the other side of the pool. Lord, where have I ended up? Ichigo thought and slowly trudged after Jiraiya. He stopped near the bamboo wall and found some small crack. Then he listened. Ichigo noticed out of the corner of his eye that Naruto was sneaking towards a tree near the wall. So, they're women's baths, Ichigo thought. Well, let's wait. Ichigo sometimes quietly glanced into the very small crack, and then watched the two perverts. Then he heard a woman's laughter, very familiar, and joined the crack. Ranjaku-san. Well, stop splashing. No Orihime, tomorrow we have a hard day, so now we need to have a good rest. Really, Tsunade-sama? That's right, Matsumoto. Let's relax, soak in the bath and drink warm sake. Ichigo's eyes widened. Like the Hokage with him, he thought, but then he was fascinated by the picture. Right in front of his viewing angle, Inoue was running about 5 meters away. Matsumoto was rushing behind her and constantly trying to splash Orihime. Thank God at least the thick steam made it impossible to see anything properly. Ichigo immediately remembered how he was met by Yoruichi in his real form, when he was saving Rukia and recoiled from the wall with a red face, but without calculating, he plopped into the pool. Ksu. Here I am, don't say a word to anyone, he thought, but his attention was attracted by a completely different picture. The sight of Jiraiya amazed Ichigo. The old man's eyes almost popped out of their sockets, his hands squeezed the bamboo walls, and his tongue protruding from his mouth drooled so long that a puddle had already formed around the old man. This is it. This is what I understand. This is what I understand. Who is needed in the book? Jiraiya constantly repeated with interest, unraveling something in the crack. Ichigo drew attention to Naruto. The sight of the guy struck him, Naruto's hair, sticking out, not just on end, but still, spread out in all directions. Eyes got out of their orbits. The tongue was also hanging nearby. Jiraiya's nervous laughter attracted Ichigo's attention. But then Naruto fell from the tree, and the laughter behind the wall stopped. Naruto is peeking again. Well, I'll tell him now. Hello from me, Sakura. He didn't come in to report today. Tsunade's drunken voice said. Naruto quickly retreated to the locker room. Jiraiya was washed away in the pool, and Ichigo rushed as fast as he could, rushing after Naruto. Resting on the bed in a single hotel room, Ichigo thought about everything that had happened. And, somehow imperceptibly, he fell asleep. Wake up, Ichigo. Wake up quickly. Kenpachi woke him up. But Ichigo pretended to be asleep. Okay, then now I'll quickly have breakfast with your ear. Kenpachi fell strangely silent. Remembering yesterday, Ichigo stood up sharply and pointed his fists at Zaraki. What the hell, Zaraki? Get ready to the Hokage. Something serious happened, so there's a task for us. A few minutes later, the entire Shinigami team stood in front of Tsunade, prepared. And so, comrades, Shinigami. Tsunade began, I'll tell you that even before the Land of the Leaf began to be called that, there was the Akatsuki organization. I'll say in general that they hunted people in whom demons were sealed. What kind of demons? Kurosaki was surprised. Kurosaki, I was in the library here, so listen. Ishida brought the rest of the Shinigami up to date. They were also behind the attack on Konoha, Tsunade continued. About 6 months ago, fortunately we had already managed to recover and forget. In general, walks back and forth, the organization still exists, but its activity has faded a little. Having a large number of shelters, they can move not only around the Leaf Country, but also through neighboring villages and countries. I recently learned that Akatsuki is now gaining strength and is preparing to attack Konoha again. Having information about their location shelter. I sent a reconnaissance squad there, but yesterday it became known that one of the portals, similar to the one from where you came from, had opened. The reconnaissance squad only reported about a strange man with glasses. After that they did not get in touch. Our task? Ichigo asked briefly. 1. Find information about the state of the reconnaissance squad. 2. Find out more about this strange Ryoka. As a last resort, Shizun will be in touch with Ishida. She will help find the Akatsuki hideout. Most likely, this Ryoka may appear there too. Toshiro said loudly, something tells me that this is Aizen. Aizen? Everyone was surprised, but how? I don't know. Toshiro barked, I don't know. Who is this Aizen of yours? Tsunade asked. Aizen Sasuke. He is a Shinigami, a traitor and our enemy. In general, it's clear, I won't interfere with your personal affairs. Do whatever you want with him, this is the business of the Soul Society. Tsunade-sama, may I ask? Suddenly, Ishida's backpack began to move, and with a cry of, "Ta damn," a teddy bear landed in front of all the Shinigami. Well, weren't you waiting? Kon, what are you doing here? Ichigo yelled. What can I do, Ichigo? Little sister is in the real world, but there's absolutely nothing to do in the Seriidii. How did you get here? How? How, in a backpack? Wait, there's food there. Isis picked up the backpack, empty. Oh, you plush. Stop, bespectacled guy, Kon put his paw forward, I'm warning you, attacking plush toys is punishable by me personally. Tsunade, who had just been looking at Kon before, screamed wildly. Calm down this hysterical. Kon began, turning to Tsunade. Wow, they are bigger than his little sisters. He thought, looking at Tsunade's bust. With a cry, my little sister, he rushed towards her with outstretched paws. But Tsunade quickly recovered from the shock and managed to stop by according to Kon, while saying, get out. The poor bear was thrown all over the room and then carried out the window. Bye, Kon, Ichigo shouted to him. At this very moment, Naruto, Sai and Sakura run into the hall. Hokage-sama. Is there an A-class mission? Yes, guys. So Team Shinigami and Team Number 7, you're going together. Sakura, Naruto, Sai, follow them. Well, Hokage-sama, we're off. Ikkyo turned to the door. Stop, Captain Kurosaki. Tsunade sat down at the table. Take advantage of this. Well. Kurosaki looked at everyone. Everyone nodded to him. Into battle again? Yes. Then forward. And the whole team poured out of the windows of the residence onto the streets of Konoha towards new adventures. When the squad approached the border of the Leaf Country, Ichigo and Naruto rushed forward to reconnoiter the situation, while the rest made a halt. Kakashi, as usual, sat down on the grass and began to read with a clear conscience. Chad looked at the face of the Jounin engrossed in the book for a long time before finally asking Sakura in a whisper, Is he always like this? Passive, or what? After which she replied, yes, these books by Jiraiya-sama are simply ugly, I never understood this. But Kakashi-sensei always reads them with rapture, but what came to mind was Konohamaru's technique of male love, which was quite interesting to her. Sai sat down by the river, once again took the paints, and began to draw. Not far from him stood Orihime, bending over the water. For a very long time, Sai could not understand why his gaze was constantly directed at her. It clearly irritated him. And, as usual, I turned to books for help. After a break in his bag, he finally found the emotions for dummies he needed. In it he found, if, regardless of your desires, you constantly pay attention to a certain person, it means either this person is attractive to you, or he annoys you. Don't be shy about showing emotions, come up and tell him about it. Sai was stumped. It was logically incomprehensible to him why he could like Orihime. And again, there was no reason why she would irritate him. He again tried to rummage in his bag in search of the book he needed, when suddenly a rustling was heard from behind the bushes. Sai immediately pulled out his blade when suddenly out of nowhere yelling, "Sis!" Khan jumped out. He crashed into Orihime, causing her to start balancing on the edge of a small cliff, constantly threatening to fall into the river. The situation for Sai was critical. Khan was running around yelling, "Help! The man will soon drown." Orihime screamed quietly but clearly, being on the dangerous line between water, earth, and hysteria. Sai, after spending some time packing his knife, rushed to help. He was catastrophically unable to keep up. Everything was going, in general, to the point that Sai would heroically save the girl and shut up Khan, when suddenly the air was pierced by a cry, "Who here has no sense of style?" followed by a terrible roar and a tree trunk flying forward. Sai was not at all in the mood for jokes, and instead of saving Orihime, he pushed her into the water, and then dived after her. However, he dived, that's a very strong word. He fit into the ground, because the depth of the river was maybe 30 centimeters. Under the furious cries of the bear, "Ksu! They forgot me!" The log rolled away, flying over Save's head. Orihime sat in this river, landing on her fifth point and laughing nervously. Sai stood up and, as if nothing had happened, extended his hand to her. Ichigo and Naruto quickly moved towards the village of the Hidden Sound, where strong activity of enemy shinobi was last noticed. At the same time, naturally, they argued about who was stronger and ran as fast as they could. Naruto grinned and jumped up the tree before running straight through the branches. Ichigo looked up and muttered something like, "Ponterez, damn him," after which he soared into the sky and flew. Naruto was amazed, but did not look at this performance, but launched his clone at him. The clone, in turn, knocked Ichigo off his feet with a well-aimed hit from his heel, after which he pushed off from his body and with a signature somersault kick sent him to the ground under Naruto's loud cries of, "Yes! 5 points! Blonde, what are you doing?" Ichigo shouted in flight, after which he landed quite successfully on both feet. "You're tired of pretending to be cool. I suggest you find out which of us is stronger in battle." Ichigo just grinned. "With everything I've seen, you can't defeat me." Naruto's face was quite serious. "You haven't seen even a tenth of it." Ichigo really didn't like this look, there was too much cold rage and anger in it. "I'm coming," Naruto suddenly said and disappeared into thin air. Ichigo didn't understand what happened when he suddenly heard a cry of "a thousand years of pain," and received a powerful poke between the buns. The list of emotions that his face expressed was unimaginable. From confusion it turned into surprise, from surprise into a grimace of pain, and from pain into a screaming, "What the hell, mother, blonde, a distorted face," after which he flew a couple of meters and crashed into a tree. The satisfied blonde proclaimed, "I am stronger," and was about to leave, when he suddenly noticed Ichigo rushing towards him with a sword. "I'll kill you, mediocrity! What are you doing? Have you completely lost your mind?" After which he turned the sword with the blunt side and hit it on the soft spot. Naruto, however, was not so simple. He was ready, and repelled his otaku, covering himself with a kunai. "Finally you started to fight. Otherwise I thought that you were wearing it only for beauty. After these words, Naruto jumped away from Ichigo, dodging another attack, and folded his hands in a seal. Only now Ichigo noticed that without these seals not a single technique is created. Tajukage Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto shouted, causing Ichigo to freeze in amazement. He remembers his own clone, but he was alone after all. And here, there were about 50 of them. And, if they were of the same strength as their owner, he had absolutely no idea what to do with them. 8 of them went on the attack, Bankai. Ichigo exhaled, sending out a wave of energy. And then he saw their weakness. They evaporate after the first blow. I'm such a fool. I was scared of this idiot. After that thought, he was stabbed in the back and saw Naruto flying at him with a Rasengan. Ksu. Ichigo dodged with the speed he gained and sent Naruto flying. He started to irritate him. Despite his manner of grimacing and similar tricks, the blonde was a very dangerous opponent. It was felt on some subconscious. Then he heard a voice inside himself. Something you're losing a little with your little Bankai. Let me have fun. Fuck off, I'm busy, Ichigo rasped to his inner voice. Heh. Don't forget, Ichigo said with an evil grin. This is a different world, and it has its own rules. You can't stop me that easily. After this cry, the voice burst out. A hollow mask gradually began to form on his face, his eye sockets widened, his eyes changed. You're finished, Blondie. Ichigo said in a voice that wasn't his own. Now you will see real power. Bankai. All this was completely incomprehensible to Naruto, he only felt an accumulation of energy unfamiliar to him. And the nature of this energy was definitely evil. Jinchuriki, a thought flashed through his head. No, it is not him. The fox told him. There are no bijou in their world. It is half empty. Boy, you can't beat him without me. Naruto replied dissatisfiedly. You think a lot about yourself. Go away. And then something happened that went beyond what was usual in the world of shinobi. It was very similar to how Rock Lee fought Gaara. Ichigo began to spin around him at great speed, raising clouds of dust. Naruto barely had time to repel the attacks, some of which still sometimes passed. After both his arms and leg were wounded, Ichigo hooted towards Naruto and stabbed him through, after which he began to swing the sword at him. Pain pierced the Jinchurike's body, after which he collapsed to his knees. How sad. Boy, you're not capable of anything. Take my strength. Kill this freak. No way. I can do without you. Naruto said. Meanwhile, his eyes began to change shape and color, and the Kyuubi's chakra began to come out. What the, thought Ichigo. What's happening to him? Again, until the little fox began to understand that evil awakens evil. Ichigo's energy awakened the fox. Ksu, it will have to be this way. But I won't open more than 2 tails. Naruto's stomach wound healed and he jumped away from Ichigo. What are you doing, Blondie? Why didn't you die? Interesting. Ichigo. Wake up. Ichigo. Naruto began. What if? Break the mask? Thought the Jinchurike. You're thinking in the right direction, kid. Only I would prefer to kill him. You'll get by. And if you call me a kid again, I'll hang myself, and you'll die with me. Naruto replied angrily to the fox. You'll manage somehow. Ichigo didn't understand what was happening. Naruto sped up unusually and became more aggressive. This was the second time he had gotten too close to the mask. It's time to finish him off, he decided. He had already raised his sword for the decisive blow, when suddenly Ichigo woke up. Break off. You won't cause him the slightest harm. I said. And, throwing away the sword, he began to rip off the mask. Naruto, meanwhile, extinguished the fox's cover on his own. Ichigo, he shouted again. Don't interfere, he replied, causing Naruto to shut up. Scrunching his face in tension and pain, Ichigo finally tore off his mask. What, peace? Naruto asked, holding out his hand. Yeah, of course. In another life, he answered. Naruto was surprised, but Ichigo still extended his hand to him. Truce, he grinned. Are you still pretending to be cool? The Jinchurike asked with a sly grin. I'm not building. I am the cool one. Ichigo answered him, smiling with all his already 29 teeth. Ichigo finally tore off his mask. What, peace? Naruto asked, holding out his hand. Yeah, of course. In another life, he answered. Naruto was surprised, but Ichigo still extended his hand to him. Truce, he grinned. Are you still pretending to be cool? The Jinchurike asked with a sly grin. I'm not building. I am the cool one. Ichigo answered him, smiling with all his already 29 teeth. Ichigo finally tore off his mask. What, peace? Naruto asked, holding out his hand. Yeah, of course. In another life, he answered. Naruto was surprised, but Ichigo still extended his hand to him. Truce, he grinned. Are you still pretending to be cool? The Jinchurike asked with a sly grin. I'm not building. I am the cool one. Ichigo answered him, smiling with all his already 29 teeth. First meeting with Akatsuki. Leaf Country. Literally a few kilometers from the border and the Akatsuki shelter. Sunday. Day. Noticing that Naruto and Ichigo had quite quickly disappeared from his field of vision, Kakashi nervously rubbed his back against the trunk of the oak tree, against which he leaned his back while sitting on the grass. Whenever his back itched, and this usually happens in Naruto's presence, but here in his absence, he prepared for the worst. Putting aside another book from his favorite series, Come Paradise, he stood up and shook himself off. His attention was attracted by Isis, who was trying to set up a connection. Oh, Isis, I see that you have already taken several transmitters. Yes, Kakashi-san. I talked with Tsunade-sama during my vacation and got several walkie-talkies at my disposal. Ah. What are you doing now? I just modified the receiver a little. I noticed that the portal does not limit the range of your receivers and am now trying to set up communication with Suratii. Good job, Isis. But I have a question for you, can you keep secrets? Kakashi sat down next to him and moved closer to Ishida. He immediately suspected something was wrong and tried to move away, but Kakashi sat down next to him again. Damn yaois, what you do to people, he mentally cursed the author of the chapter, i.e. me. And I'm not a yaois, author's note. Listen. Now I feel that Naruto and Ichigo may get into trouble. So, I'll follow them to the border. Now I'll take Sakura and Sai with me, and you think up something to distract the others, okay? Yes, but I'm counting on you, Ishida. Kakashi ran up to Sakura and Sai, who were talking, took them both in his arms and ran towards the border. Ishida, where did Kakashi run? Especially with Sakura and Sai. Toshiro and the others approached and surrounded Ishida. Toshiro's gloomy look frightened Ishida. They. Well, Kakashi went out of necessity. Why does he need Sakura and Sai then? Toshiro's B-face began to break into a smile. Well. Probably they will protect. Or help. The whole company, except for the stunned Ishida, burst out laughing. Toshiro laughed loudest. His laughter caused a big drop from Ishida. Hitsugaya is laughing. What's wrong with him? Isis, don't worry. I slipped him a little cheerful potion into his lunch. Ah, well, now it's clear. The captain walks around so gloomy all the time, I've never seen him in a good mood, Matsumoto said with a bored look and pouted her lips, remembering something. And the company was still laughing. Finally, the already calmed Hitsugaya calmed down and made his serious face again. Well done, Ishida. You keep secrets well. Don't worry, we've already heard everything. Toshiro turned his head and pointed to the transmitter in his ear. It's just that you've already tuned it to our wavelength. Kenpachi finished. Toshiro turned to everyone. Ishida stood next to him. It means so. Toshiro began, because Kurosaki and Naruto ran to the border, followed by Kakashi and his friends. Yumachika burst into tears, remembering this topic. Then I remain the eldest. Okay, agreed Kenpachi, less worries, less problems. The main thing is to run into some kind of ambush as soon as possible. With a dreamy look, he rolled his eyes to the sky. Everyone has drops. Hey! Toshiro clicked in front of his eyes, dispelling the illusion. Look, you're daydreaming. Since Kurosaki and the others will be looking for information about the state of the reconnaissance squad, we will begin the next task, to find out about the identity of a Ryoki similar to Aizen. And at the same time information about the activity Akatsuki. Is everything clear to everyone? Certainly. Maybe we'll arrange another stop? Yumachika dreamed. Come on. Let's move out. Toshiro went ahead of the column. Who followed whom, I hope there is no need to tell. At the very end, Orihime, shouting, Kan-kun. Stop jumping, dodged Kan, who still managed to jump on her shoulder. Well. Forward, the teddy bear commands. Set the sails, full speed ahead. Orihio just laughed, watching him. Kan-kun, you're funny. Oh, thank you little sister. Kan was just about to jump on Orihime's bust when she suddenly stopped and he just fell in front of her. Sister for what? Kan began, as. Quiet, I feel Ryatsu. And quite powerful and ominous. Be careful and look around when entering the forest. Toshiro warned everyone. Entering the forest, the whole company turned their heads back and forth. They are getting closer, Hitsugaya tensed, everyone get ready. By order, everyone took their swords by the hilt. Only Kenpachi, with an evil grin, was waiting for an ambush. Sato awakened the power of both of his hands. The right one immediately took the form of a shield, and changed color. The left one just changed color. Orihime raised her hand to her hairpins. The whole company came out into the clearing. Before that, the sunlight that had not passed through the forest foliage now hit my eyes sharply. I feel that they are here, be ready. Said Toshiro. Now the smile will disappear from your face. Kenpachi kept laughing, his bells jingling in sync with his laughter. I love it when the enemy hides. Such an opportunity for a quick attack makes your senses work harder and your heart beat faster. Well, show yourself. As you said. I'm hiding, so here's my gift for you. The voice immediately died down. Nothing happened for several seconds. Toshiro tensed and tried to concentrate. A few more seconds in silence, and then. On top. Let's run away. Toshiro grabbed Matsumoto by the kimono and jumped forward. Ishida and Ikaku jumped in the opposite direction. Kenpachi grabbed Yumachika by the collar and jumped in the other direction. Sato took Orihime and Kan back. The explosion that followed almost hit everyone. Its strength was so great that Toshiro and Matsumoto were slightly thrown into the ground. Kenpachi and Yumachika were blown away by the blast wave towards the nearest tree. Kenpachi crashed hard into a tree, so much so that he punched a hole in its trunk. Yumachika, slightly dazed, tried to figure out what was what. Yumachika, Toshiro stood up and began to shake himself off. take care of Kenpachi, he seems to be passed out. Yes, Captain. Ikaku, Ishida, come to me. Where is Kira? Ishida ran up and began, Captain, Kurosaki left him in Konoha to help Tsunade with diplomacy in the Siriidii. Oh yes, that's right. Matsumoto, are you okay? Toshiro helped her stand up. Hey, show yourself. Toshiro turned and saw 3 people coming out to meet him. All 3 men were dressed in long cloaks with red clouds painted on them. So, they are from Akatsuki, Toshiro thought, we must be on guard. They are dangerous. Toshiro took a closer look at the strangers. One of the 3 was a young man with dark eyes and hair. He constantly hid the lower half of his face under his collar and looked with an angry gaze. The second young man stood in the middle. His long hair was combed over his left eye, and a long tail was visible behind his head. He constantly kept his right hand in a bag that hung nearby. The third had long gray hair, combed completely back, and a braid with 3 blades was visible behind his back. Who are you? Toshiro asked. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. Sorry, the blonde bowed slightly and continued with a grin. Aizen-sama told about the young genius among the Shinigami. How? So this is Aizen? Yes, he is the one. But closer to the point, I'll introduce myself so that you remember my name, posthumously. Deidara burst out laughing. Deidara. Closer to the point. Aizen and Pain will not wait. Itachi muttered. Itachi. How long are you going to pester me? I'm tired of your comments. Deidara began yelling at Itachi. If you don't want to, don't listen. Deidara-san. Can I take on someone with very interesting hands? Haiden turned to Deidara. Of course, Haiden. I allow you to play with him, just don't kill him before that moment. Deidara, I'll take charge of the girl and we won't bother you, Itachi said. Oh, you have taste. Deidara said, looking at Matsumoto. Captain, I can handle it, assured Toshiro Matsumoto. I hope. Ikaku, you will be with me. I don't like this, Deidara. Oh. Deidara began, I see you already know me. Well, that means everything will go much faster. Haiden and Itachi quickly separated from Deidara. Matsumoto from Toshiro. Noticing that Haiden was already rushing toward Sato with a scythe in his hand, Toshiro shouted. Sato, be careful. Sato, who was helping the awakened Orihime, barely had time to notice Haiden approaching when. 3-link shield. Repel. Inoue-chan. Spamibo. Get ready for battle, Sato-kun, I'll help later. Orihime leaned her back against a tree. Her hair was disheveled from the explosion, and a small stream of blood flowed from her forehead. Meanwhile, Haiden was rushing toward Sato. Noticing the shield, he became interested. Wow, we're afraid to fight. Well, take it. Haiden raised his scythe and jumped. Sato, meanwhile, walked around the shield and shouted, take it. Gray-haired. In Haiden, a charge of energy from his left hand disappeared. Inoue-san, protect yourself. I have my own shield. Orihime just nodded. A veil began to cover her eyes and she lost consciousness. Little sister. Little sister, wake up. Khan ran up and started running back and forth shouting, someone. Someone, help. Khan, watch out for Inoue. Sato shouted to him and sent another charge of energy at Haiden. Dodging the first blow with a whoop, Haiden also dodged the second and raised his scythe. Haiden's blow went through Chad's right arm shield, which was not even scratched. You're interesting. Let's go. Haiden began wielding a scythe no worse than Ichigo's Zangetsu. Meanwhile, Matsumoto and Itachi stood aside. Let's start the fight. Itachi muttered. Oh, don't. Matsumoto began, you know, handsome, people like you are not my type. Ah, I see. Itachi grinned, so I need to attack. Break off, I'll beat you with my left hand. Matsumoto laughed. Itachi. And why are you going to fight with your fists? Matsumoto took out her sword. No, you will see something worse. Itachi said and covered his eye with his hand. Do you think that you will glare at me and I will die? Matsumoto ran at Itachi, swinging her sword. Matsumoto's blow was so strong that Itachi's body fell to the ground without a sound. Something like that, I heard Itachi's malicious voice behind her and was shocked. The dead body crumbled into a flock of crows and disappeared. I'm here. Matsumoto turned and faced Itachi's closed eyes. Behold my true power. Mangekyo Sharingan. Itachi opened his eyes and looked at Matsumoto. She was seized by an insane horror. She could not move, she was constantly drawn to that eye. The world around began to change dramatically. The sounds disappeared, the images disappeared. It was as if time had stopped. Matsumoto discovered that she was tied to a tree. She could not move. And Toshiro approached her from the void with a calm face. Help! Captain, what are you doing? Shut up. No one will hear you here, get ready to die. Hitsugaya took Ichigo's Zangetsu out of the void and pierced Matsumoto's stomach with it. I won't describe what happened next, because you can guess for yourself. Was heard throughout the clearing. Matsumoto. Toshiro turned to his lieutenant. She stood with a sword in her hands and her eyes closed. Matsumoto pierced herself with a sword. Itachi, standing nearby, did not make a sound, only grinned. Oh you! Toshiro ran to him, come down from the icy heavens. Hirenmaru. A shard of ice burst out of Toshiro's sword and flew towards Itachi, but he had already noticed and dodged. Little one, I'm your enemy. A clay bird burst out of Deidara's fist and flew towards Toshiro. He swung, and the bird was covered in ice. There was an explosion. So he arranged it, thought Toshiro. How strong we are. Deidara feigned regret. And then he snapped his fingers. Several explosions occurred on Toshiro's body. With a sigh of pain, he sank to the ground. Captain, I'm leaving. Ikaku ran up. Wake up, Hozukimaru. His sword turned into a long spear. The blow and Deidara barely managed to dodge. While Ikaku and Deidara's fight began, Toshiro examined the wounds on his shoulder and leg. It seems that in the bomb that overtook us at the very beginning there were still explosives. What a scoundrel! Leaning on his sword, Hitsugaya shouted, Hirenmaru, forward, sent an ice dragon to Deidara. I can't dodge, he thought, and the dragon swallowed him. Hozukimaru's blow and he crumbled. We did it, thought Sato and struck Haiden in the stomach. Oh! Haiden folded himself in half. Ahahaha. Hey, Freezer, I thought I won. And here I am, shouted a joyful voice. Toshiro was surprised to find Deidara hovering above him on a bird. Oh, you, he began, as ants fell from the bird. Explosives. Toshiro jumped in front. The blast wave threw him several meters away. As he fell, he managed to notice how a tattoo appeared on his shoulder. Captain, he heard from Matsumoto. Really, he thought. Hey you, Flying Dutchman, wait for me. Ikaku jumped and flew towards Deidara. Toshiro suddenly remembered. Isis. Have you established contact with the Siriidii? Yes, Captain. That's how it is, thought Toshiro, so, when we left the Society of Souls, the limit was imposed on us. Isis, quickly demand permission to lift the limit. And faster. Yes, I understand, Mao-san. Mao-san, as you hear, Ishida began to accept. Meanwhile, Sato, distracted this time, missed Haiden's blow. The scythe only caused a scratch on his stomach. A blow of energy, but Haiden jumped away from Sato. Hee hee. Now we'll have fun. Haiden wiped off a drop of blood and licked his finger. Look and feel the real pain. Ahahaha, he laughed and folded his hands in a seal. A pentagram immediately appeared on the ground around him. Feel the real taste of pain. Haiden repeated and took out a knife from his bosom. Then he laughed again. This is the moment, thought Sato and ran towards him. Meanwhile, Haiden took a knife and stuck it in his leg. His face changed, becoming more like a skull. Sato felt unbearable pain in his leg and fell. Blood came out of his mouth. Ahaha. What do we have now? Maybe a hand. Haiden slashed his hand. And again the pain caused Sato unbearable suffering, and his hands instantly became normal. He just lay on the grass and breathed heavily. Captain, shouted Ishiro to Shiro. There is permission. I see. Toshiro put the sword in front of him. Matsumoto, can you hear me? Matsumoto, who was still bleeding, nodded. Well, while Haiden was still laughing, Yumachika suddenly flew out of the bushes and slashed him into the air. Taken aback, Haiden jumped back and left the pentagram. Sato sighed heavily. Wake up, Fujikujaku. Yumachika awakened his Zanpakuto. His sword took the shape of a sickle and split into 4 blades. Take it. There was a cut of the sword, and Haiden's head, recently sewn on, flew away from the body. What? Why again? The head continued to scream. Yumachika, who noticed this whole picture, felt himself vomiting and disappeared into the bushes again. Matsumoto, repeat. Ikaku, do you hear? Yes. Removing the limit. Rang out in chorus. Powerful rays of light engulfed Ikaku, Matsumoto and Toshiro. He immediately felt freedom. Pointing his sword at Deidara, he simply said, Ban Kai. Immediately, icy wings grew behind his back and he soared upward. Daiguren Hyarinmaru, a dragon burst out of Toshiro's sword, knocking down Deidara, and his bird exploded. So. Damn little thing. Thought Deidara, who barely stood up. The long superficial wound was bleeding. Itachi, noticing that Deidara had almost lost, made a seal, ninpo, concealing fog technique. Immediately the entire clearing was covered in fog. Under its cover nothing was visible, even if you gouged out your eyes. Unnoticed by anyone, Itachi crept up to Toshiro and made a seal, element of water. Water prison. Toshiro, who had not expected this, was abruptly dragged into a water prison. He began to choke, but then. Hello, handsome. I didn't wait. Kenpachi appeared in front of Itachi and pierced him with a sword. Blood spewed from Itachi's mouth. Kenpachi. Thought Toshiro. The water prison disappeared and he, clearing his throat, sat down on the grass. Deidara, let's go. Deidara and Itachi disappeared for a moment and then appeared near Haiden's body. Well, you'll sew it on. Haiden said sadly. A second and they were gone. Sorry, Captain. I fell asleep here a little, Kenpachi began. Shut up. And, thank you, Toshiro smiled. Well, victory? A victory achieved with great difficulty. Aizen Sosuke. Meanwhile, Kakashi, Sai and Sakura hurried after Ichigo. Kakashi's haste seemed very unexpected and strange to Sakura. And with each tree branch that was burped, the anxiety intensified. Naruto, what's wrong with you? Where did you go? Even with Ichigo. Stop. Kakashi suddenly stopped everyone. What's happened? This is not the time. Kakashi said, and quickly began to form his hands into a seal, then touched the branch with his palm, summoning technique. Pakken immediately appeared in his place. Yo, he waved his paw at everyone, where's Naruto? You should look for him, Pakken. No problem, let's go. After a few minutes of following, Pakken became alarmed. He's gone quite far. What? Who could it be? Sakura asked. It looks like Akatsuki. Have they already forgotten that they are hunting Naruto? Kakashi was alarmed. Exactly. Sakura slapped her forehead. They are here. Then you will call. Pakken said and disappeared in a puff of smoke. Immediately, everyone in the distance heard an explosion. Did someone attack the Shinigami? Sai was alarmed. It looks like I too, Kakashi began, as. Come out, gentlemen persecutors, a soft voice rang out, we know that you are there. The shinobi jumped from the tree onto the road and immediately grabbed the kunai. In front of them stood a young man with combed back hair. His white cloak was very similar to the one worn by Shinigami captains. Well. So this is team number 7. And Hatake Kakashi himself. I've heard it. Aizen grinned. Who are you? Are you one of the Ryoka? Of course. I'm glad to introduce myself, Aizen Sasuke. I understand that you heard from Kurosaki Ichigo about me. Come to the point. Why are you here? Actually, I'm looking for the king's key. Well, I also decided to help my comrades from the Akatsuki organization, because there are very beautiful views here, as well as places with huge ryatsu. Aizen pointed out at 2 people in masks and with jackets with red clouds on them. And that's why you decided that you could kill Naruto? Sakura got angry and stabbed Aizen's body with a kunai. He just grinned. Suddenly, a copy of him appeared from behind, and then 2 cut wounds appeared on Sakura's body, from which blood sprayed. From shock and pain, Sakura lost consciousness for a while. What kind of devilish technique? Kakashi was amazed. No devilism, Aizen grinned and found himself behind his clone. Taking it by the back, he said, My Zanpakuto, Kyuka Suijetsu. Immediately his clone crumbled into fragments. Aizen sheathed his sword. Oh you! Kakashi raised his kunai, but Aizen stopped the strike with his hand. How could he? Kakashi was surprised as blood sprayed from his wound, which had just appeared from a blow with a sword. Cough. Kakashi doubled over in pain, looks like he hit his internal organs. You better stay out of the way, kid. Aizen pointed at Sai. As you say. And also, take them and wake up this Kunoichi medic. I wouldn't want to start with such miserable deaths. Let's go. Aizen and the ninja turned around and immediately disappeared from sight. Sakura-chan. Sakura-chan. Sakura slowly opened her eyes. Sai, what happened? Where is Aizen? Sakura, calm down. Now the main thing is for you to heal. Sakura stood up and felt terrible pain. Immediately a green glow appeared from her hands. What's wrong with Kakashi-sensei? He was injured by Aizen. So what kind of person is this? Why does he want to kill Naruto? Kyubi. A few minutes later, Sakura woke up Kakashi and began to treat him. Sakura, he will kill Naruto. Kakashi said in a hoarse voice. Immediately Ishida's voice was heard in the successor. Kakashi-san, we have received permission to lift the limit. Inform Kurosaki that now he can open access to most of his power with this command. Got it, Ishida. Kakashi said also hoarsely. Something happened? Tell Toshiro that we met Aizen. He is following Ichigo and Naruto. We lost, we couldn't stop him. Are you okay? Of course, say hello to everyone. Don't worry, Sakura is treating us. Okay. I got you. And Kakashi just looked at the sky. Hold on, Kakashi-sensei. I've almost healed your lung. Phew, good Sakura, great job. About 10 shinobi from the Umbu route burst into the hall where Jin and Danzo are located. Don't move or you'll die. Jin says, smiling, Bankai, and all the shinobi fall dead, with holes in their foreheads. What was that? I didn't even notice any movements. You killed them with words? Danzo. No, it's just that the speed of my Bankai is the highest among the others. And everyone who saw it is already dead. Well, I'll answer yours question. You are in the country of fire. In the village of Konoha, more precisely under it. This is the base of a secret organization. Root. That's how it is. Now give me a reason not to kill you, Jin said, slowly finishing his sword. Yoruchi slowly jumped on the roofs of Konoha's houses. And suddenly she felt a strong ryatsu coming from the bathhouse. Let's see who's there. I'll wash myself at the same time. The black cat purred. Meanwhile, Jiraiya was lying down in hot water and thought about his book. Suddenly a black cat with a crazy level of chakra landed in front of him. Good evening, tell me where I ended up. By the way, my name is Yorikairo, and the talking cat. Boom. Boom, boom, said by Jiraiya-san as he plunged into the water. Are you all so nervous? Can you answer my question? Black cat, oh, excuse me, I'm confused, so here you are in the village of Konoha, which brings the shinobi of the leaf. Jiraiya began to give out information about Hokage, etc. Thanks, do you mind if I join? Yes, of course. If you want. Okay, said Yorikairo, turning into a girl. Naked is such a transformation, straight face. The cave of the 8 tails by the lake. Tosen lies on the bed with a bandaged bokop, shoulder and half of his arm. The 8 tails sits at the table and eats ramen. Tosen slightly opens his eyes and wheezes. Where am I? Aizen-sama, are you here? There's no one here except me, lie down and don't twitch. My name is Hachibi. I don't know who you fought with, but you have very serious wounds and half of your arm is missing. I'm thinking of taking you to Konoha to Tsunade, she a strong medic and can help. Do you agree? Yes, Tosen croaked with difficulty. Meanwhile, in Pain's lair. Kisame, listen carefully, go down and get to Konan. I may need her help, alive. Pain. Another person with a Rinnegan flew into the room. And using the summoning technique, he increased their number to 6. You are dishonest, 7 for 1, said Aizen, drawing his sword. I'm good, don't kill me. With screams, Toby jumped to the farthest corner of the room. All 6, Pain's bodies pulled out black curved blades and swirled around Aizen. Immediately a whistle rose from the blades, occasionally broken by the ringing of metal. Toby, seeing that Pain was losing and that 3 bodies had already received wounds, takes off his mask and in 1 second finds himself next to Aizen. In his hands he has a white blade, a copy of Ichigo's sword. Bankai, Aizen said. Blood began to flow from Madara's eyes. The same thing happened to the Pains. And Aizen's sword became red-hot, trembled, blood began to flow down Aizen's hand. Apparently we have a draw, said Uchiha Madara. Everyone put away their swords and frowned. By the way, I felt that the second were watching us, Aizen. How's the second? Zetsu kill the second. Pain. The Umbu spy managed to send only one message before his eyes closed forever. Backstage scene, Episode 1. What the hell is going on? Sasori is dead. Naruto yelled at the scriptwriter. Why should I fight him? Naruto-kun, calm down, please. Sakura, wait. Wait, this is no good. Wait, there's also Kakuzo. Have you guys gone crazy? Naruto. Do you have something against it? Kakuzo responded. Your series will gain good profits from our resurrection. You won't have to hold castings to hire new actors. Yes, damn it, I have. So. Either you shove these fillers, the author's position, then you have forever living villains. Brazilian melodrama. Naruto, don't delay the others, I'm tired of waiting, Sasori whispered from behind him. SSS Sasori-sama, Naruto began to stutter. And you are here? Naruto, calm down already, Ichigo's voice rang out. After all, this is fan fiction, so pretend no one ever died. Moreover, the authors also resurrected Jiraiya-sama. So shut up and don't rock the boat. Did you say something, redhead? He muttered in response. Tsunade ran out of the corridor and hit him so that he flew 48.67 meters, simultaneously demolishing decorations and walls. Got it. Well, quickly get to work, otherwise I'll ask the screenwriter to turn you into a frog, and I can convince you. Ichigo and Naruto kept moving forward, unaware of the trouble that their colleagues had so unfortunately gotten themselves into. Having gone too far from the camp, they lost contact with the rest of the group, but continued to move at a moderate speed. Ichigo looked around carefully, listening to the silence surrounding them. Naruto-kun. He called out. What do you want? I made a small stop, it seems we are very close. I feel an energy unfamiliar to me. Eh? Then let's go ahead and find out who it is. What are you, a fool? We don't know who it is, we don't know their strength. And our advantage is that I feel them. Let's slow down. Well, if you say so, redhead, Naruto answered with an indifferent look. That's how it is. Scared, or what? Ichigo instantly appeared next to him and tried to kick him, but shinobi are not so simple. Naruto, borrowed this trick from Kakashi, author's note, simply sat down looking like nothing had happened. Cool down, he said, dodging another blow. Otherwise you will become exhausted and will not be able to fight. The Shinigami became even more enraged and sent Naruto flying into a nearby tree with a punch. I got it. Stop showing off, I'm serious. LLL lad debottom, answered Narek, standing up and brushing himself off. This time you won. Naruto-kun, can you tell me about your world? Well, our world is the world of the 5 great shinobi countries. We are the land of the leaf, disconnected from its feudal lord, and our capital is also a shinobi village. Ah. I see, said Ichigo, who did not understand absolutely anything. Well, shall we go? Yeah. They stood up and were about to leave, when suddenly kunai flew at them from all sides. Ksu. Be careful. Ichigo shouted to Naruto, who just as calmly continued to walk. For knives stabbed into his back, after which he collapsed to the ground. Ichigo was about to run towards him, when suddenly Naruto's body disappeared into the air in a cloud of smoke. Clone. Ichigo had a thought, but instead of an empty space he saw a log. Naruto was sitting on a tree at this time, watching what was happening. Cunning kid. He knew we were here, someone's hoarse, low voice was heard. Definitely. Otherwise, he simply would not have dodged, the voice answered him, no less low, but no longer hoarse. Who is this? An incomprehensible energy emanates from him. Interesting. It would be nice to make a doll out of it for my collection. You'll manage. I'll take his heart. Maybe we can part ways amicably? You have the heart, I have the body. Okay, Sasori. There will be a body for you. 2 people unfamiliar to Ichigo came out of the darkness, one hunched-over man, whose movements constantly tapped bells. The second is a rather tall man with some lifeless eyes. Both were wearing dark blue cloaks with red cloud patterns and masks on their faces. It's going to be a bit tight, Ichigo thought, looking at them. Something filled him with fear, something inhuman. Ichigo, be careful. Don't let them get close to you. Naruto shouted as he jumped out of the tree. The opponents were separated by a distance of only 15 meters. Who is this? Ichigo asked, carefully watching the movements of both. These are guys from Akatsuki, but this is not the time to explain. They are very dangerous. Hey you idiots! Why are you standing there as if they didn't just try to kill us? Not enough strength? Why are you staring, you hunchback? Ichigo shouted, not considering Naruto's opinion worthy of his attention. Naruto's jaw dropped and he turned his gaze to Kakuzo and Sasori, who were still looking with the same lifeless gaze. Sasori, start. Immediately the doll's hand rose and a projectile flew forward, which Ichigo easily dodged. But then every bullet, of which there were many on it, fired, after which it shattered into a huge number of needles. Ichigo took out his sword and shouted Bankai, after which a wave of spiritual power came from him, which knocked down these needles. Unfortunately for Naruto, a couple of needles did reach him. Naruto collapsed to the ground, struck by the poison. So there was poison on every needle of this guy, Ichigo thought frantically. And most likely, each of his attacks threatens with poisoning, and fatal one at that. Goodbye Naruto-kun. Ichigo immediately ran up to Naruto and took his body, jumping onto a tree. Naruto, how are you? Ichigo asked. Nothing, I'll be branded, he answered, getting up. Ichigo only sympathized with him, after which, leaving him on the tree, he quickly jumped down. You're finished, you freaks! He shouted and rushed at Sasori, raising his sword. Sasori, without particularly straining, defended himself from his blow with a huge segmented metal tail, and under another bend immediately began to attack. Ichigo quickly turned around and defended himself from this blow, but immediately after that he received a powerful blow to the back, which carried him 20 meters away. Ksu, who are they? Ichigo thought, realizing that Naruto's fears were not unfounded. The first is a master of surprise attacks, a medium-range fighter, the second is a man with extraordinary strength, Ichigo thought very quickly. Remember that I have no chance against them. The only thing that would be possible would be if Naruto-kun was able to fight. Tajukage Bunshin no Jutsu. There was a scream behind him, after which about 200 Naruto clones appeared out of nowhere. This poison has a bad effect on me, Ichigo. The fox neutralizes him with his power. Heh. I thought you were finished. Be careful that you don't get hit, Naruto said, after which his clones took off into the air. Shurikens are everywhere. Naruto shouted, followed by all his clones, each throwing shuriken. It's no use, Sasori replied. The shuriken stuck into him, but did absolutely no harm to him. They simply bounced away from Kakuzo. I will destroy you and make dolls. After these words, Sasori took off his cloak, under which there was wooden armor, or shell, or, XD, exoskeleton. But the clones were not going to give up, they rushed at them. Kakuzo simply swept them away with a dense stream of air, at the same time almost hitting Ichigo and Naruto. Sasori simply released a huge number of needles from his mouth, which destroyed all the clones in their path, and those clones that were on top were swept away by his tail. Dead spot, Ichigo thought, noticing that the attacks of neither one nor the other did not cause serious damage. Kakuzo began to make seals, after which he said, Kotan, Hozenka no Jutsu. And a huge amount of fiery spitting flew at Naruto and Ichigo. They, in general, dodged without difficulty, when suddenly Sasori began throwing kunai. Ichigo was able to dodge the first few, but fought off the rest with his sword. After that, Kakuzo repeated that technique again, and he had to dodge in 2 different directions. Ksu. Naruto, help. I can't dodge endlessly. And, as proof of his words, one of the fiery projectiles ran through his hair. "What?" Ichigo exclaimed. "Bastard, you ruined my hair. You're in deep trouble." Ichigo began to run his hand over his face, and a dense stream of dark light began to form around him, behind which nothing was visible. Then the light disappeared and Naruto saw a mask on it. 11 seconds. Between the 11th and 10th, Ichigo found himself behind Kakuzo, cut off his hand with a blow of his sword, and then pierced him through the heart. There was a crash. 10 seconds. He parried Sasuke's blow and smashed the shield covering his back. 9 seconds. Ichigo beats the branded Kakuzo, whose cloak was torn off. And his body began to come apart at the seams. Surprisingly, he managed to fight back. 5 seconds. He pierces another mask on his chest, which breaks and some kind of spirit flows out of it. 3 seconds. While Ichigo is beating Kakuzo, Sasori emerges from his Hirako doll. He takes out a scroll and begins the call. 1 second. The doll that appears is instantly cut in half by Ichigo. Sasori is furious. After this show, Ichigo bounces about 20 meters away from his opponents, breathing heavily. His mask breaks into pieces. "Naruto, come on." And Naruto gave it. He jumped out from behind the trees, and was accompanied by 4 clones, each pair with an Udama Rasengan. Kakuzo almost dodges, but one of the spirits that came out is swept away by this Rasengan. Sasori does not have time to complete the next call and dodges the attack, but is kicked from above. "This kid," thinks Kakuzo. "2 boys are beating me. I'll kill them. And I will take their hearts for myself." The losses of Kakuzo and Sasori were great. Kakuzo lost 3 hearts, earth, water and lightning. Sasori, his best doll, the Kazekage. They were both furious and ready to do anything. Sasori took out a scroll and summoned 100 dolls, and Kakuzo ripped open the seams on his body, and 2 spirits and some thick threads came out of him. "NNN Naruto. What is this? What kind of army of puppets is this? This is his technique. He controls them all. Tajukage Bunshin no Jutsu." Naruto exclaimed, and put his clones in opposition to Sasori. Naruto frantically tried to figure out what he should do. While the clones were holding off the onslaught of the dolls, and Ichigo was recovering, Naruto had to come up with a plan. And he found a way. "Ichigo, get away from here. What's happened? Get out, I say. Kuchios no Jutsu." Naruto exclaimed, after which the entire battlefield was enveloped in smoke, in which a huge toad and Naruto were visible on it. "Great!" Naruto exclaimed. "Gamabunta-sama, help us. There's a whole army here. I see it myself." A thunderous voice rang out. "Why did you call me in the spruce forest? I'll kill you. But first, these annoying people. Set my toad oil on fire." After these words, Gamabunta poured out a stream of oil, into which Naruto threw an exploding kunai. A fiery stream fell on the army of puppets, and on the enemy shinobi themselves, which wiped them off the face of the earth. Enemy shinobi also fell under the distribution of prizes and were then near death. Sasori was barely alive thanks to the fact that he did not feel pain. He was already doomed. Kakuzo was left with only 1 fiery heart, but could not move a single limb due to the absence of any. All its threads burned out. "Naruto. I won't kill you now just because I have more important things to do. Wait." After this, Gamabunta evaporated right from under Naruto's feet, after which he began to fall to the ground from a great height. But, fortunately, he was caught by Ichigo, whose face still showed surprise, and his jaw could not close. Of course. This happened to him. Naruto knew how to summon giant toads that could speak and spit oil. Now he began to realize that Naruto was telling the truth when he spoke to him. You haven't seen a tenth of what I can do. And it was scary. He stood for another 2 minutes, thinking, when he suddenly drew attention to Naruto. He was in his arms with a frightened face. Ichigo. You. Quickly put me to the ground and get away. Are you completely freaking out? I'm not like that. Naruto-kun, what are you talking about? You just stood over me and stared at me, not wanting to put me down. Why you JP just didn't understand everything. Go away, you pervert. Yes, you have a direct path to Kakashi. Sai and Ero Sennin. Naruto-kun. Their dialogue would have continued for a long time if Naruto had not lost consciousness. He had used up too much chakra to continue. It was time to return. Ichigo. What, Gai-sama? Why do you wear such a gloomy suit? After all, you are young, and in youth energy flows. You know, I have something for you. Dash? Fat drop on the back of the head, bewilderment. This is a special combat suit. Thanks to it, the skin breathes, the body moves perfectly. I'll tell you a secret, Lee and Naruto became stronger thanks to him. Dash? The fat drop on the back of the head has expanded even more, blonde? My pleasure. Why? Because this is a costume for. Ichigo walked up to Guy and whispered in his ear, POV. Guy's face takes on a color as if he had opened all the gates at once. After a rather difficult battle against Sasori and Kakuzo, Naruto and Ichigo were no longer moving so quickly towards the border. The scorching sun blinded their eyes, the heat was exhausting. Ichigo rubbed his stiff neck. Sweat was dripping from his red hair, which rolled down his cheeks. Probably the consequences of that battle are affecting, he thought. It's strange, but for some reason, after the Bankai and opening the mask, I feel more tired than when I was in Siriidii. Ichigo noticed a tattoo that had appeared from somewhere, which was located on his arm. Where did this come from? He thought again. First he tried to rub it, but it didn't work out. Then I tried to rub it on the kimono sleeve, no effect. Then I tried to chew it, but I only scratched the skin. So. I've been serving as a Shinigami for so long, I still find new things in the Siriidii. I'll have to ask Toshiro. Naruto walked alongside, as usual, narrowing his eyes and putting his hands behind his head. He looked at the sky. You won't get bored with this guy, Ichigo smiled to himself, and I don't know what else you'll have to expect from him. Hey! Rizik! Why did you hatch like that, as if Orihime saw it? Naruto grinned. Only now did Ichigo realize that he was staring directly into Naruto's face. Nothing, it's just that after such a fight, I'm really scared to look at you. That's right, be afraid of me, because I'm stronger. Well, that's what Grandma said in 2. Granny Tsunade is not Traz. She doesn't know about your abilities at all. They walked in silence for a few more minutes. The silence worsened the situation. To somehow kill time, Naruto came up with a plan. Hey, Red. What? How much longer? We'll be there soon. Ichigo didn't even look in Naruto's direction. Tom didn't like it. Red. Well, what do you want? How much longer? We'll be there soon. How much longer? We'll be there soon. Ichigo began to get angry. How much longer? Naruto already asked without a hint of a smile. We'll be soon. We will be soon. Repeat again. Ichigo yelled. The crazy Naruto didn't even imagine how his joke had pissed off the redhead. At first he rubbed his head in thought, and then came up with the idea. Wait! Naruto ran after Ichigo. Having run around him, Naruto turned around and jumped to the side on one leg. His smiling face reminded Ichigo of something. Where have I seen this before? Ichigo tensed. Oh yes. Pervert Jiraiya is Naruto's teacher. Immediately a picture from the past flashed before his eyes. When they were walking through Konoha to the hot springs, Ichigo asked awkwardly. Naruto, can you introduce me to your teacher? Of course, meet me. Naruto ran forward to the drinks store. What a guy, the old man said after him. Well, let's get acquainted. Ichigo extended his hand to him. Kurosaki Ichigo, captain of the Shinigami. We will. The old man did not shake his hand. Beautiful girls love and adore me. But enemy shinobi are afraid. Tremble before me, my enemies. Because I am great and terrible. A pervert from Konoha. Naruto, who came up with drinks, finished without interest. Ichigo has a huge drop. Naruto, what? Said Jiraiya. His voice hoarse with anger. How many times have I asked you, don't bother getting to know me? What? Naruto yelled back, is it difficult to shake Rizik's hand? This is exactly the picture Ichigo remembered now. Meanwhile, Naruto attracted his attention. Listen. There's a dispute. If you can withstand my technique now, I won't say a single word to you until the end of the week. And the end of the week is today, hee. Naruto grinned. Damn, I'm tired of it already. I'm speaking in Japanese, don't pretend to be cool. Ichigo yelled and came closer to him. I want it and I'm doing it. Naruto and Ichigo came very close to each other and stared at each other with brutal faces. Sparks and lightning rained down from their eyes. That's enough. Ichigo jumped back, show me. Hee, now let's have some fun. Naruto folded his hands into a seal, henge. Naruto was immediately covered in smoke. Ichigo did not understand anything. Waiting for some combat equipment, he blindly held on to the hilt of the sword, but then. When the smoke passed, Ichigo was simply dumbfounded. In front of him stood a beauty completely without anything. The blonde beauty struck a pose and blew a kiss to Ichigo. A smiling Naruto immediately appeared in her place and the illusion dissipated. Meanwhile, I will describe Ichigo's face. At first it expressed terrible surprise. Then his right eyebrow crawled up, and his face quickly began to take on a crimson tint. His cheeks turned crimson, and his tongue, like a carpet, spread out of his mouth. After Naruto appeared, he snapped his jaw noisily. That's what I thought. No effect. Stuffed cabbage, apparently. Naruto. I will destroy. Ichigo yelled in a voice that was not his own, Bankai. Immediately he was covered in smoke and then he found himself with his new kimono and sword. Repeating, probably for the 100th time, the phrase, Tensa Zangetsu, he still retained the same crimson complexion. Hey. Rizik, this is just a joke. It's a joke. Well then, let's joke in a new way. Let's play, catch up with me Getsuga Tensho. Ichigo roared. Then red lightning jumped out of his sword. Naruto barely dodged. Side of lightning Ichigo Naruto. True, once he overdid it with a jump when lightning flew under him. Involuntarily, he felt some kind of burning from the side of his butt. Stopping quickly, he discovered a large hole in his ass. What? These are my favorite pants. Yes, I love you. Naruto crossed his arms in a seal, shadow clone technique. Immediately 4 clones appeared next to him. Forward. I'll show you. It was with this cry that Naruto and the clones disappeared on both sides of the road. Ichigo, who ran up, had already calmed down a little, but still retained a purple tint to his face. Where is he? Take it, redhead. With shouts, Uzumaki. 4 clones rode out along the ground, which threw Ichigo into the blows of his legs. He immediately concentrated. But then Ichigo realized that a spinning shadow of a man was approaching him. Naruto raised his leg as if. The shadow gave you away, idiot. A joyful Ichigo turned to him, Getsuga Tensho. The lightning almost hit Naruto. Having dodged, he fell on the road. And again he gave in, for the first time, someone unfamiliar with my combo knows how to avoid it. Naruto whined. After a few seconds of running, he came up with a new plan. Stopping, Naruto turned to Ichigo, shadow cloning technique. Several new clones immediately appeared. Clones again. Well, never mind, I won't get caught a second time, thought Ichigo, running up, and grinned, Getsuga, but then. Harem technique. Naruto and the clones were covered in smoke. A few seconds Ichigo he peered intensely. And then shouted, Ichigo. Ichigo. Beloved. A crowd of girls, whom he had seen the last time Naruto turned into, ran towards him. She was going to come out of the bankai and ran away from the crowd. But still, on the other side, another crowd of girls overtook him. They all immediately began to hang on his neck, tickle him and kiss him on both cheeks. After a few seconds of agony. Yeah, it's unimportant, I'll say, Ichigo looked. The characteristic crimson tint of his face appeared again, next to it there was lipstick and traces of kisses all over his face. And in general, he looked very rumpled. Okay, sorry. What? I overdid it. Naruto helped the stunned Ichigo get up. Nah, I definitely won't get bored with you. Ichigo wiped the blood running from his nose. Wow. Now I see that you're normal. Naruto, shut up. Literally after an hour of walking, Naruto suggested making a halt near a river, which, as it seemed to Naruto, flowed very close. Having walked a little deeper into the forest, they saw a waterfall. Hey, let's rest right here. Naruto rejoiced. A few minutes later, Naruto lit a fire and put things nearby. Let's go get lunch, he called to Ichigo. Okay, let's go. Finding a place, Naruto motioned for Ichigo to watch. Immediately a fish jumped out of the water and Naruto pinned it to a tree on the other side with a deft throw of a kunai. Now it's your turn, said the satisfied shinobi. Well, I don't know. Come on, are you chickening out? Immediately Ichigo abruptly pulled out Zangetsu from behind his shoulder. Naruto really didn't like his look and he swallowed nervously. And again a fish jumped out of the water. Getsuga Tensho. The lightning not only swept away the fish, but also demolished several trees. What a fool I am. I forgot that you don't have a kunai. Naruto said with a drop at his head to Dob Ichigo. Literally half an hour later, both were enjoying the taste of fried fish. Ichigo simply devoured several servings with the speed of a meteor. And you, I see you're hungry. Of course. I would eat a wild boar. Okay, rest. I'll go and take a dip. Naruto undressed, put aside his protector with the leaf sign and plunged into the waters of the river. Diving. Like this for about 20 minutes, he did not notice what was happening on the shore. After another 10 minutes he again wanted to eat. Having emerged slightly from the water, Naruto noticed that Ichigo was sitting on the ground, leaning his back against a tree and sleeping. Hee. Naruto grinned. Coming ashore, he tiptoed past the snoring Ichigo and crept up to his backpack. The picture Naruto encountered shocked him. No. My special supply of ramen for the mission was eaten by someone. No. Naruto yelled, sobbing at the top of his voice. Then he noticed that Ichigo's snoring had stopped, and he was looking at Naruto. The sound of a belch gave Ichigo away. Ichigo. I will destroy. I will not forgive you. Naruto yelled with the red eyes of a fox and a brutal face. Naruto, who ran up red, from chakra, was immediately knocked down by Kenpachi, who appeared out of nowhere. Yo, Kurosaki. Shall we lie down? Kenpachi. What are you doing here? As you can see, I came for you. Yumachika, Ikaku and Ishida appeared after Kenpachi. Standing up, Ichigo managed to dodge Kona flying at him, shouting, Ichigo. You're such a bastard. He even reacted well and kicked him flying to the waterfall. Everyone has drops, even the cold Naruto. What is he doing here? Ichigo was surprised. I couldn't leave him, he just got me. Isis threw up his hands. Khan, who had already emerged from the river with another cry, get the freak, flew towards Ichigo's face, raising his paw, but was stopped by Ichigo's hand and ended up on the ground. Then Ichigo began to trample him into the ground. Everyone watched this picture with even fatter drops. Your place is among Tashiro's team. Why did you come after me? Ichigo asked Khan, whom he had already rubbed several centimeters into the ground. None of your business. Ichigo raised his leg and Khan got out from under it. Standing in front of Ichigo, he raised his paw. You don't even care about my friendship with you. Left me with idiots. What an idiot. Kenpachi roared. Oh, sorry, Khan continued, left me to the mercy of fate. So now I will answer you for all the torment that I suffered from you. Behold my strength. Khan stood up and began to make a seal with his paws. What? He can do jutsu? But when, Ichigo's eyebrow went up. Oh, it's a long story, but then Khan interrupted everyone again. Element of fire. Fireball, shouting, I'm going to sleep, Ichigo. Khan began to inhale the air. He inhaled and inhaled, inhaled and inhaled. Until he became a ball and began to rise above the ground, rising to the level of the face of the crazy Ichigo, he exhaled sharply and a flame burst out of his mouth, more like fire from a maximum of 5 lighters. Mostly there was smoke pouring out. You. Khan coughed and ran to the river. Having returned, he caught his breath heavily and noticed that everyone was standing with stunned faces. Even Naruto, who had already come up and had already managed to get dressed. Oops, thought Khan, sorry, he said and began to watch Ichigo. His eyebrow continued to twitch, then he closed his eyes and, shouting, fuck you, kicked Khan into the waterfall. Now tell me what happened, Ichigo finished. After 40 minutes of intense conversation, Ichigo was horrified. Aizen is here. Yes, he is in this country. Ichigo, we are returning to the Hokage, we have completed our mission. Kenpachi assured him. But why, we didn't find the reconnaissance squad. And we won't find them. It's already clear that Akatsuki killed them, Ishida finished. Okay, let's move out. Meanwhile, an interested Naruto approached Khan, who was still shaking himself off. Then he sharply grabbed him by the scruff of the neck and raised him to face level. Hey, let go. Khan saw the offender and began waving his hands in his direction, trying to hit him. How interesting. Naruto was amazed. Are you a demon? I'm not your demon, freak. Khan yelled at Naruto. And then outright nasty things poured out of his mouth regarding what he had learned about Naruto. Naruto, who had endured such rudeness for a long time, shook Khan violently, and then, shouting, shut up, you cotton wool nonentity, shut him up. I'll shut up. Khan covered his mouth with his paw, and then apologized, sorry, friend, nerves. Some people just don't respect me here, and pointed his paw at Ichigo. Okay, I forgive you. How do you know the fire technique? Actually, back in Konoha, I spied it on a man with white hair and a stripe on his eye. Kakashi-sensei. Yes, he can. And then the guy with long hair and white eyes performed some kind of technique on me, after which I felt the strength in myself. Hehe, so it was Neji you met along the way. Yes, probably him. Hey, Naruto. Got it. Naruto answered him, and then sat him on his shoulder and asked, do you mind? Tell me what happened. Yeah, it all started with that, Kon began. By the way, Ichigo, said Kenpachi. What's happened? Have you found the tattoo yet? Yes, but how do you know? So, have you already noticed that you're running out of steam quickly? Yes, does this have anything to do with the tattoo? Exactly, remember about the limit? Ah, so there it is. If a Shinigami is outside the Siriidii and the Soul Society, then a seal called the limit appears on it. So, because of it, I was unlucky, that's right, if you command, remove the limit, then most your power will be revealed. The whole company, meanwhile, moved away from Naruto and Kon talking and laughing. Well, never mind, they'll catch up. So it all started with the fact that I woke up in a clearing. My little sister Ranjaku was running towards me. I ran towards her and jumped straight into UNC. Naruto yelled and the illusion dissipated, without any intimate details, then you'll tell me, but now get closer to the point. Okay, so this is what, the Kon began. And in the meantime, I, the author, will tell you what really happened while Kon tells Naruto this interesting story. So after Ishida heard from Kakashi that they had met Aizen, he turned to Toshiro. Captain Hitsugaya. Listen. I have established a connection with Kakashi-sana. It can't be. Toshiro's eyes widened, where is he? Toshiro remembered all the hatred that boiled in him towards this man. It looks like he's following Kurosaki and Naruto. Ishida continued, Team Kakashi is now injured after the fight with him, but everyone seems to be healing and alive now. This is good. Meanwhile, Orihime sat next to Sato and controlled her healing shield. By reversing time, this shield could heal even the most severe wounds. Now Sato was out of danger. Yes, I'll devour all the clay for this looking pot. I'll look for all the wires for this sapper. Kon talked to Orihime. Kon-kun, thank you for your support. Orihime addressed him. Please, little sister. Yes, I'll cut off the clouds of these red clouds. I'll kill the freaks who attacked my little sister. Kon jumped. Instead of eyes, he had two fires, teeth that grew into fangs, and he screamed in a voice that was not his own. Oh, and he changed the color of his fur for a while. At this time, Toshiro gave orders. Ishida, contact Kakashi, ask him to return here with Sakura and Sai. I think they were seriously injured. Yes, Captain. So, Matsumoto, look after Inoue, because she is the only medic, and I have to meet with Aizen. Toshiro stood up abruptly and immediately collapsed to the ground in a faint. Inoue. Inoue, come quickly. Is Sato okay? Yes, Ranjaku-san. What happened? Help the captain. He's in bad shape. But he asked me not to treat him, even though I insisted. And now I insist. Come here quickly, move the loaves. I said it straight to the point, author's note. Meanwhile, Kenpachi nearby scolded Ikaku and Yumichika, standing nearby. I don't understand, are you donkeys, rams, sheep, Kenpachi thinks. Goats, Yumichika suggested. Yes, are you goats? Continued the unembarrassed Kenpachi, tell me, what kind of squad are we? 11th squad. I cannot hear. 11th squad. What have you done? Lost respect? I'm asking for the last time. Answer, otherwise I'll bite your noses off. What squad are we? 11th squad. Yumachika and Ikaku said in unison. This is good, I say. Kenpachi roared, so why did you leave the battlefield and not fight with the enemy? Captain, correction, I was fighting. Ikaku muttered. Keep silent, the enraged Kenpachi roared again. Then he walked up to Yumachika, who swallowed nervously. Feathered, why were you guarding me? Captain Toshiro ordered me to guard you. Silence. Tell me who is your captain. Well, you. Answer normally, Feathered. Kenpachi was already losing his temper, or now I'll bite your ear off. Captain, you. That's good, I'll say. Kenpachi repeated, didn't you accidentally forget, my officers, our basic rule of creed That's right, the law. Kenpachi agreed and began to wait for an answer. Don't forget, Captain. Show yourself in battle. Right. Kenpachi roared again and continued to walk back and forth. Then he turned to Yumachika again, if you fight like that again, I'll personally bite off your ear and give it to you for your birthday. Do you understand? Yes, Captain, he muttered. What? Kenpachi was getting ready to explode again. Yes, Captain. Yumachika almost shouted. This is good, I say, Kenpachi finished. Then he turned to Matsumoto. Ranjaku, we are going after Ichigo and this little guy. When Kakashi returns, return straight to Konoha. We will return later. Glasses boy, follow me. Okay, I'm with you. Ishida agreed. Khan immediately ran up to him. Hey bespectacled. What do you want, a lump of cotton wool and snot? I forgive you for now, can I come with you? Okay, if you don't distract me, okay? I promise. Non quite briskly jumped onto Isis's back. Then he pretended to be riding a horse and yelled at the top of his lungs. Ride me, you big spectacled turtle. Ishida's eyebrow began to twitch, and he reached for a needle, which he usually carried to sew up toys or torn clothes. Then he took the amazed horse and began to insert this needle right into his butt. Once again you will call him a turtle. Especially with glasses. I will specially sew you a snow-white dress and sew it with your skin, and then I will still refuse to tear it off and laugh. That's it, I understand. You are a dangerous person. Khan said and calmed down. After a few minutes of running through the forest behind Kenpachi, the whole team, namely Ikaku, Ishida, Khan and Yumachika. They were stopped by him. I feel Ryatsu here, Toshiro parroted Kenpachi, and then burst out laughing boisterously. Everyone around him had drops. Sorry, pun. There are 3 Ryatsu, and for some reason they are following parallel to us. Maybe it's Kakashi? Ikaku suggested. It doesn't look like we passed him about a minute ago, okay, let's move on. After a few more minutes, Kenpachi stated, they are nearby, readiness number 1. Everyone immediately reached for their swords, but Ishida settled down to open his bow. Subsequent events developed at a rather frantic pace. With a cry, soft hand, Niji flew at Ikaku and knocked him out of the tree. Shouting, Konoha Senpu, the boy with the bowl haircut knocked down Yumachika. With a scream, Kunai flew at Kenpachi, because of which he had to freeze near a tree in a not entirely decent position. Ishida immediately turned on his bow. Like a laser sword, it turned into a circle from which spears protruded and acquired a blue color. Team Guy, namely Niji, Rock Lee and Tenten, perched on a branch in front of him. Lee immediately took his stance taijutsu. Who are you? Who are you? You attacked Kakashi-sensei? Yes, I am on behalf of my teacher Guy. Lee jerked forward as Niji held him back with his hand. My apologies. What? Niji. You idiot, look, it's a Shinigami. The words that shook Ishida to the core echoed in his mind again. Who else did you call a Shinigami? I am a Quincy. Huh? Lee furrowed his eyebrows. Niji, weren't there any Quinishi with the Shinigami? Niji hit Lee on the head. Sorry, Quincy. But we were only informed about Shinigami friends. Also, Kakashi-sensei informed us that there should be a Shinigami enemy ahead of us, but it seems that he has disappeared and not only from the sight of my Byakugan, but also stopped pursuing Naruto. What? Byakugan. Niji said, and his eyes changed. These are special eyes that only my clan has. I am Hyuga Niji. Yuryu Ishida. Glad to meet you. Also, Niji continued, with the help of these eyes I can see chakra. In your opinion this is Ryatsu. For example, Niji's attention was drawn to the crazy Khan sitting on Ishida's shoulder. Wow! Was all he could say. Khan. Ah. Tenten fainted from the tree, and Lee jumped in to save her. That's what it means. Niji said thoughtfully, I see that this toy has a source of chakra, but the tenketsu are closed. What chakra, I beg you? It's just a soul plus, he waved it off Isis. Excuse me, but could you give it to me? What for? I won't do anything bad. Now you'll see everything. Niji took Khan. Out of surprise, Khan, was still sitting. Calm down, it shouldn't hurt. The sound of the yin-yang sign appearing, I don't know how to spell it correctly, author's note. And Niji's voice. 64 blows of heaven. Seated version, he muttered. Isis burst out laughing. Nelji began to hit his fingers on the body of Kona. The same. Was shook. After a few seconds, Niji finished and sighed, well? Are you okay? Listen. It was a great massage. 5 points, Khan extended his paw to Niji. Everyone had drops, even Lee, who had just returned from Tenten. Niji just grinned, it's a terrible pain for people, and for a toy, just a massage. 5 minutes later, everyone had already become acquainted and Kenpachi informed everyone. Harry, Niji grimaced, I also feel that it looks like Aizen has disappeared. Now we're running after Ichigo and Naruto. Thick brow. Lee hit a tree with his fist out of anger and broke it right through. Oh, so you're all returning to Konoha. And I don't care what the Hokage said. We can handle it. A few more minutes later they were running along the path that Ichigo and Naruto had recently walked along. They're close, Kenpachi warned everyone. Who? Our idiots. Idiots. Listen, remarked Isis, how are you feeling, Khan? Wonderful, simply wonderful. Khan grinned and began rubbing his paws. Danzo falls to his knees in front of Jin. Have mercy, I have an army of shinobi, and everything is ready for a coup in this country. If you help, you will become its ruler. Danzo. This could be fun, Jin sheaths his sword. Yes, you won't regret it, I'll now gather everyone who is loyal to me, wait. Danzo will leave Jin alone, Jin, grunting, incinerates the corpses with the help of Hado number 66 fire tornado. And with a cheerful smile, Jin will burn other people's villages, Jin hums as he sits down in a chair, meanwhile, on the territory of the Leaf Country. The eight-tailed one walks along forest, supporting Tosen, who is barely moving his legs. I write a good rap, yes. There are 8 tails in my head, it doesn't matter. After all, I compose chants and screams quite well. Sometimes, voice of the eight-tail. I feel someone's chakra, says the eight-tail. After which Hachibi jumps to the tree and sends Tosen to him. 4 people in suits with wings come out from behind the trees. Who could it be? Damn, again this red-eyed ghoul with a group of runts. We decided to get our hot water bottle. Yo! Hachibi Dastova blades. Here we are, they found you, says Sasuke with an arrogant grin. A flash of bright light. In the place where Suigetsu was a puddle spread. What the hell? Says Sasuke. Tuj shackles his arms and legs, and a black fog appears before his eyes. That's all I can do, Tosen croaked. What the? I can't move, and this fog, it can't be penetrated even by a Mataratsu. Sasuke. Yugo, seeing that things are bad, quickly turns into a demonic form. Karen throws kunai, but they are repulsed by other kunai that came out of nowhere. What do you think? 3 figures land next to the battlefield. Sorry for interrupting the battle at the most interesting point, releasing several shadow arrows. That bind Jugo and Karen. Said the guy with a ponytail and earrings, Shikamaru for stupid people. Sasuke didn't expect that you would turn out to be such a weakling. Naruto will laugh. Shikamaru, you're a freak. I'll destroy you. How did you manage sneak up unnoticed? Sasuke. He has nothing to do with it, Sasuke, I really thought you were stronger, this is all my technique. As soon as we found out that Karen senses chakra, I learned, chakra hiding jutsu. It turned out to be so strong that we became invisible. Ino. I'll kill you. The hair on Sasuke's head stood on end, and convulsions began. Ino talker. Ino froze with her mouth open, they are really hard to hold, Shikamaru. Don't worry, Tosen croaked, I'll have them now. I'll put you to sleep. Heido number 76. Dead dream. For bodies lay with a roar on the grass and begin to snore. Why did they put Choji to sleep? Ino. Sorry, because of the wound, I have poor control over my strength. Said Tosen, passing out. By the way, who exactly are you? Shikamaru. We are going to Konoha to see Lady Tsunade, so that she can help my comrade. Of course, inspect his wounds. Ino is trying to heal Tosen. It doesn't work out. His wounds are similar to Naruto's wounds from the Raisin Shuriken. They are beyond my control. Then we move to Konoha. And quickly. Shikamaru, with the help of shadow imitation, forces 3 prisoners to stand up and walk. Everyone leaves. In the clearing, a puddle slowly takes the shape of a human body. What's here? Was it? Suigetsu says, his face resembles a blurry, surprised face smiley. Part 2, thank you Trey, 79. Having given Yoruchi consent to transform in the bathroom, Jiraiya still did not understand what he would face. Meanwhile, Yoruchi began to come into her true form. Having finally transformed, she straightened her shoulders and began stretching her stiff back. How long has it been since I returned to my real form? She noticed and looked around, please forgive me for such a request, huh? Where did he go? And Jiraiya disappeared from the bathroom. I'll tell you what happened before that. At the beginning of Yoruchi's transformation, he still didn't understand anything. And his face retained a surprised expression. After the feminine parts of his body had already formed, his eyebrows crawled behind his head, his face turned red, and in fear, like an ostrich, he stuck his head into the water. A few seconds later, due to lack of air, he emerged. The dark-skinned beauty he saw in the bathroom amazed him so much that he, shouting, "Mama! I did it," pulled into the locker room. Only a few seconds later, Yoruchi, who had not heard anything, noticed his absence. I should look for some clothes, thought Yoruchi and noticed that in the next bathroom the girl dives for a few seconds each time. The kimono she saw lying next to her covered up her to grin. "Oh, excuse me," Yoruchi said, entering the men's locker room. Before that, the men who saw the girl in the locker room with terrible cries of "What is she doing here?" pulled into the men's baths. Only Jiraiya remained, buttoning his vest. Wow, he thought, for 50 years I've been attracted to young beautiful girls and then bam. She's like that, and she came herself. Jiraiya took a deep breath, as he was taken by surprise by the evil Yoruchi. "Forgive me, grandfather," she began, "but you promised to help me find the Hokage's residence." "Oh yes, granddaughter," Jiraiya imitated the voice of an old senile man and bent in half, feigning senility. "And it seemed to me that you looked younger," Yoruchi noted. "In any case, I imagined you about a little older than himself." "Ah, younger." Jiraiya returned his normal voice and turned to her, tightening his vest. "I hope that you and I will get along. I just really need someone's help." "Oh, okay, I'm at your service." Jiraiya bowed, and in the meantime he examined the advantages of Yoruchi's figure. "What an old pervert." Yoruchi just laughed. "I am Shikawan Yoruchi." Yoruchi extended his hand. "And I?" Jiraiya sat down on one knee and pretended to have a passionate voice, then took Yoruchi's hand. "Enemy shinobi are afraid of me, and the girls are crazy, because I'm magnificent, incomparable and the like." Jiraiya. Then, he kissed his hand. A few minutes later, both left the hot springs and walked along the streets of Konoha in the direction of the Hokage residence. Along the way, Yoruchi was attracted by a book stall. "I wonder what kind of reading is here," she thought, and she was attracted by a very bright little book with the inscription, "A new book from the series, Come Paradise, by the great Jiraiya-sama." "Oh," thought Yoruchi, "so I also came across a famous writer." Then, passing by the milling shoppers, she was attracted by the conversation of two men discussing the book. "I read the new, Come Paradise." "Of course, what do you think?" "I'm delighted. I wonder where the writer got so many living characters in his books. By the way, I heard here that they call him an old pervert, because he hits on young girls. And even spies on them in the bathroom." "What?" Yoruchi thought with horror, "So this old pervert wants to stuff me into his erotic book and that's why he's hitting on me. Sorry." Jiraiya distracted her from her thoughts. "Yoruchi, can we go?" "Oh, yes." Yoruchi smiled falsely, "Let's go." After a few minutes of walking, Jiraiya and Yoruchi herself heard the beauty's stomach make a very loud sound of hunger. "Ksu. I had breakfast in the morning," thought Yoruchi, but she was distracted by Jiraiya. "I see that you are hungry, Yoruchi." "No, don't worry." "No, I'm just worried," Jiraiya denied. "I can't let you die of hunger, wait for me here." A few minutes later, Jiraiya returned with food. But Yoruchi was not there. What he saw shocked him to the core. From horror, screams, swearing and meowing suddenly began to be heard from the fish store opposite. And then a black cat with a fish in its teeth jumped out onto the road. Shouting, "Old man, we'll meet you behind the store," the cat immediately disappeared into thin air. Then a crowd jumped into the cat's place shouting, "Caught you, you furry thief." Jiraiya noticed that everyone reacted calmly to what had happened. Behind the store he saw Yoruchi sitting, who was eating fish with gusto. "You're sorry," she began. But I've already tried here." "Nothing," Jiraiya grinned, "hunger is not an ant." A few minutes later, Yoruchi finished her meal and with an exclamation, "Now forward," took a step forward. "Excuse me, Yoruchi," Jiraiya hesitated and attracted her attention. His voice was somehow shy. Yes, I'm listening. I was thinking. You know, I'm actually a writer. Oh yes, I heard something about you. Truth. Jiraiya ran up and kissed her hand, and then ran away and turned away. Confused Yoruichi did not notice how the color of his face became almost pink. And he began to poke fingers into fingers, just like Hinata. He knows, right now I have ideas about my book, he continued. Really? God forbid Yoruichi was horrified. And so, I would like to invite you to become my muse for a while, with the syllable, me, but. A blow fell on his head, driving him several centimeters into the ground. What? No way. I won't take part in your vulgarity. Yoruichi pouted her lips and went outside. Looks like a bummer, Jiraiya thought with a bump on his head. I'll have to do it again, asked Naruto. We actually came, here it is, the Hokage residence, Jiraiya. This little cottage is red? I thought it was a palace. Jiraiya is in a slight stupor. Yorikairo, meanwhile, has climbed the stairs and is standing at the door of Tsunade's office. Jiraiya, ahead of her, enters first. Tsunade notices his bone from Yoruichi. And who did it so beautifully? Tsunade. As if in response, a sweetly smiling Yoruichi comes in. This is Yorikiro. She jumped into the bathhouse when I was resting there, that is, it's not her, but the cat, and the cat is her. And then the cat turned into a naked girl, here. Jiraiya, talking, is he delusional? Tsunade. No. Yorikiro making innocent eyes. Maybe you can introduce yourself, completely freaked out Tsunade. I am Shihouen Yoruichi, former captain of the 2nd and Special Squad. Arrived on behalf of the captain, of the 1st Squad, with secret information. Then one of the figures standing behind Tsunade turned to face her. Kira, what are you doing here? An explosion was not enough to answer Kira. Part 3. What the hell? Everyone in Tsunade's office screamed. And on the street, meanwhile, the battle against the root troops was raging. Tsunade, sit here. I'll sort it out, said Jiraiya, jumping out the window. Behind him followed by Yorikiro. At this time, almost all the root troops that were at the residence were destroyed. The last 8 from the root umbu that were nearby were quickly finished off by Jiraiya and Yorikiro. It seems that's all, said Jiraiya. No. There's someone else here. And then out of the shadows came out Jin. What the fuck are you doing here? Jiraiya, don't interfere. This is personal. Yorikiro. I'm glad to see you too, said Jin, opening his eyes wide, and placing his hand on the hilt of his sword. Meanwhile, the Hokage and 2 companions climbed to the roof to see what had happened. Following them came Danzo and more than 50 shinobi. Root umbu. Kira, take over Danzo, this old man with a sword, let's deal with the bad ones, Shizun. Meanwhile, in the square, Jin and Yorikiro stood opposite each other, and Jiraiya stepped aside. Kill her Shinsu, first goddess of spears, Jin shouted, and his sword lengthened to incredible sizes. Yorikiro deftly dodged. Jin's blade bent, but Yorikiro again easily avoided the blow. The guy is strong. Jiraiya admiringly watching Yorikiro, and drooling. Pervert! Screamed Tsunade, striking Jiraiya on the head from above. Yes, I'm talking about the girl, and why are you jealous? Why they start trampling him? After several more attempts to reach Yorikiro with his elongated blade, Jin jumps to the edge of the square. Yorikiro stands calmly on the opposite. Bankai, Yorikiro and Jin shout at the same time. 2 shadows rush towards each other, while Yorikiro and Jin stand motionless. An explosion of enormous power blows away the center of the square, everything is covered in dust. Figures are arriving at the square from all sides. He's fast, says Yorikairo, holding his broken shoulder. Nothing's finished yet. Jin. You're stunned, the dust has cleared. And in front of Jin, driven into the wall. And with 5 deep bleeding stripes on his chest, he appears. Zaraki Kenpachi, slowly putting his sword to Jin's throat. Toshiro Hitsugaya appears next to him. Around the materializing team are teams of Shinigami and Konoha. Only on the roof of the Hokage's residence the battle continues. I suggest you surrender, or I will have to kill you, Kira striking with a sword. Never, I will not lose, Danzo deftly parries. The stupid old man will die now. Somewhere below is Jin. You left me no choice. Rise up Wabasuk, translation of apology, plea. Kira's sword changed shape, it lengthened and bent twice at an angle of 90 degrees. After which Kira delivered a series of blows to Danzo's sword, Danzo dropped to his knees. Kira found himself behind him, Danzo's head inside the curvature of the blade, a swing. Everyone turned away. Except for Jin and pale Ichigo. I don't think I have a lieutenant. Said by Ichigo, Jin doesn't hear him. What kind of Ryatsu is this ominous, he says, looking into the distance of the street. Where? Naruto turns his eyes to become blue, Sasuke. Somewhere in Sirton a portal opened. 2 figures in shinobi clothes came out of it. Wait, who are you? Ranji. Kabuto, take care of him while I take a walk. Said Orochimaru-san, dissolving in the air. Renji's face was I'm amazed, to put it mildly, but rudely the admins will ban you. Aizen, Tobi and Pain stood over the corpses of Sasori and Kakuzo. It seems we have exchanged exchanges, Pain. We should return to the base and gather a council, Tobi. Aizen-sama suddenly shouted out, Kido number 100 calling the Legion. What was that? Pain. I summoned my espada into this world, Aizen. This is where the story ends.